Prologue. Somewhere in Amigay-Cure, near some houses, during the Second Shinobi World War, rain dripped off the hood of the shinobi and gathered in craters left by explosive tags and jutsu. There were several dome structures surrounding the ninja in the war-torn country, some caving in from structural damage. The shinobi was a dark-skinned male of average height with a slightly muscular build. He wore a cloak over his white, one-shouldered flak jacket and had a katana strapped to his back. A gust of wind blew the rain straight into his face. God, how on earth did I end up in Amigay-Cure? I was sure we went a completely different way. Almost like something intervened and sent me here. I feel like I'm being observed or something. The shinobi wiped the rain off his face and then formed the ram hand sign to focus. He closed his eyes and sent out a few pulses of chakra. Guess it was just my imagination, picking up traces of something though, something big. The shinobi slowly drew his katana and made his way over to the house that contained the chakra traces. He hadn't sensed anyone, but Amigay-Cure was an active war zone, and one could never be too careful. He silently opened the door and slipped into the shadows, katana held in front ready to strike. Not until he had methodically checked every room for traps or ambushes did he sheath his katana and begin to investigate, still on high alert and routinely sending out pulses to check for any newcomers. Most of the house was ordinary for the war-torn region, the home abandoned and raided for supplies. What stood out was the hallway, in which several dry blood spots and 2 corpses lay. The corpses wore green flak jackets with red spiral designs on the back and shoulders, and their forehead protectors bore the telltale circular symbol with a triangle off its bottom left corner that signified Shinobi of Konoha. No signs of traps, no damage to the house from explosives or ninjutsu, and these bodies don't have any taijutsu, weapon, or normal jutsu damage either. They died with kunai in hand, so they weren't taken off guard. Konoha has some of the strongest shinobi. Who could have done this? The ninja formed the ram hand sign again and picked up the traces of chakra that had led him here and cautiously set out in that direction. Uchiha Compound, 7 years after Kyuubi attack. A cold wind blew through the window. A young, dark-haired boy, around 12 or 13, stood in a dark room illuminated only by the pale moon in the window. Standing between him and the window was a taller, older, and similarly dark-haired young man. The boy wasn't entirely sure why he had been called here, but he held his questions as the man began to speak. Once appeared a 9-tailed demon fox, whose mighty tails could level mountains and cause tsunamis. To fight the demon, the village assembled all the shinobi from the village. One brave shinobi managed to seal up the demon, but because of that lost his life. That shinobi was called Yandame Hokage. And so the story goes. What they never told you, Itachi, is why the 4th chose that particular child to seal the demon in. And let me now show you why. The world blurred around Itachi, except for the blood-red orbs and black windmills of Shisui's Sharingan. Itachi almost gasped as he plunged into the dark void below. He slowly opened his eyes and found himself in the familiar office of the Hokage. There, he saw 2 men and a woman, all around their mid-50s, standing behind the Hokage's desk as a younger Shisui knelt before them. He soon recognized them as Sandaime Hokage Sarutobi Hiruzen, with the village elders Udatain Koharu and Midokado Hamura. The son of Yondaime and the last Uzumaki? Then why? Hamura and Koharu locked eyes with Shisui. Their eyes narrowed with no expression on their face. Hamura responded gravely to Shisui's question. It is because he's the fourth son and last Uzumaki we need you to do this. Koharu explained more fully, her tone every bit as serious as Hamura's. If one of the other villages were to discover this, they'd spare no resources on an assassination or kidnapping. This we cannot allow. As a Jinchuriki, last of a powerful clan, and son of a Hokage, he will draw too much attention and put the village at risk. Shisui stared blankly. This made no sense. Why couldn't they just train him like all the other clan and Jinchuriki kids? No other village tried hiding their Jinchuriki like this. Surely we have someone who could watch over and protect him? Why not Jiraiya-sama? Or how about Yondaime's student Kakashi-san? Maybe even Itachi's family. Weren't Kushina and Mikoto best friends? Even putting him under Danzo would be better than this. Hamura shook his head. Impossible. We simply can't spare anyone strong enough to guarantee his safety. We especially need Jiraiya with Yondaime gone, and Kakashi's in AMBU. Similarly, Fugaka's a clan head and head of the police, so he and Mikoto will be far too busy. Mikoto just had Sasuke after all. They'll have it hard enough finding time for their own son, let alone someone else's. Koharu nodded in agreement and added another reason. Besides, it's not about Naruto. The constant infiltration attempts will become a risk to the entire village. If one were to succeed, who knows what that village might do next with our defenses cracked. Shisui could see their points, but he still couldn't believe this was necessary. Surely there was a better way? I guess that makes sense. Still, this doesn't seem right. Hokage-sama, is this what you intend? Hiruzen stared blankly for a moment before looking up as if deep in thought. He hadn't moved the entire conversation. Were it not for his reputation, Shisui would have questioned whether or not he was even paying close attention. Yes, Shisui, this is my decision. I regret that we can't give the fourth son the life he deserves, but we must put the good of the village first. Hamura jumped in the moment the third stopped. Exactly, which is why Shisui, we need you to wipe the connection between Naruto and Yondaime and all knowledge of the Uzumakis from the village's mind. Itachi blinked twice before he looked back at Shisui, now several years older. What are you saying? Shisui stared down at Itachi before continuing. It was a mistake, and I should have noticed it then. The strange laws afterwards. The policies on Naruto, who wasn't assigned a single guardian. Why did Sandaime retire? Why did Danzo, constantly at odds with Sandaime, immediately support his return? Sandaime's mind had been slipping. That's why he retired, unlike most other Kages. By the attack, Sandaime didn't even realize that Danzo was manipulating him. He was nothing more than a puppet. Only, Danzo isn't thinking any clearer than Sandaime. I followed the order, thinking they'd assign someone to watch Naruto and start training him immediately. I thought maybe Danzo wanted Naruto for himself, turn him into an elite agent. But no one, besides occasionally Sandaime, even watched over Naruto, much less trained him. What's more, they let the villagers remember the Kyuubi, but forbade them to speak of it, causing Naruto to suffer resentment for reasons he'll never know. I've lost faith in this village Itachi. The leaders have lost touch with the will of the founders. The people we should look to as heroes and train as our best are covered up, resented, and ignored. Itachi slightly raised an eyebrow, warily awaiting Shisui's next thoughts. But what can we do? Shisui never broke eye contact with Itachi, his voice softer but resolute. For ourselves, nothing. We could never abandon this village we've worked so hard to protect. However, the will of fire passes to the next generation. We should ensure they have a better future than we. Itachi had an idea of where Shisui might be heading, but he immediately stopped that train of thought. No loyal shinobi, much less Shisui, would suggest that. What do you suggest? Shisui turned away from Itachi and walked towards the open window. As he gazed out at the moon, dark clouds began floating across the sky, a shadow creeping up over Shisui, half obscuring him in black. Shisui's voice dropped as he replied, "There is another village that would appreciate the talents of Konoha's children far more than Konoha ever will." Itachi's eyes narrowed as his Sharingan activated, his body tensing as he realized Shisui's intentions. A rock lodged in Itachi's throat as he struggled with the thought. Shisui couldn't be serious. That's a betrayal of our village, everything we stand for. Shisui spun around with frightening speed, startling even Itachi, his calm demeanor gone, his eyes burning bright. Open your eyes, Itachi. How does the village treat Naruto? Or how about the newest Hyuga kids? One abandoned more every day, while the other branded with a curse seal. Or how about your own brother? How does your father treat him? What kind of a life will these kids have? Itachi almost flinched from the sheer intensity emanating from Shisui. He took a moment to compose himself, but chose not to suppress the fear. That anxiety would prove useful if the worst came to pass. Jinchuriki, Kekkei Genkai. These abilities are feared everywhere Shisui, not just in the Leaf. They might not have the best life here, but they certainly will do no better anywhere else. That, Itachi, is where you are wrong. You mean well, but just listen to me for a moment. I've thought about this for a long time, and am not doing this blindly. There is in fact an opportunity for a better life. Humogakure instituted a policy a while back that they would accept anyone into their village, from poor orphans to rejected children. Surely you've heard of the 3 new jounin of Humogakure called the New Sannin? I've discovered they were once orphaned refugees from another nation, their parents killed by the warring villages, and they themselves abandoned by their countrymen. The Cloud treats their ninja well, and has a camaraderie rivaling Konoha's. Here, Shisui tossed an object at Itachi. Itachi almost moved to defend himself, but his Sharingan predicted a non-offensive path from the projectile. Itachi deftly caught the object out of the air and found himself holding a notebook. He opened it and found ANBU information regarding Kumogakure's recent foreign recruitment program. They even went out of their way to save bloodline kids from Kirigakure. I'll leave you to your thoughts for now. Come to me within a week should you decide to help me forge a brighter future. Itachi caught only a tiny flicker. Before Itachi could respond, Shisui had vanished. Outside Hyuga compound, midnight 1 week later. How dull, Darui muttered under his breath as he moved silently toward the Hyuga compound. The dark Kumo ninja wasn't sure why the boss agreed to this, but Darui wasn't going to question an order from the Raikage, even if the Raikage himself didn't fully agree with it. As Darui prepared to leap over the Hyuga compound wall, he heard a soft ruffling in the bushes behind him. He jumped to the left as fast as he could, barely avoiding the shuriken that implanted themselves in the wall. He quickly turned to face his attacker, cleaver drawn, finding not one but two dark-haired figures behind him. If Darui had any doubt as to their purpose, it was dispelled as he noticed the distinctive crimson eyes with three tomos of the Uchiha clan. Konoha police? Well, this mission's ending will be quite dull. I'm sorry, boss, looks like this is the end for me. Darui prepared to fight for his life. However, he realized after a minute neither Uchiha had entered a combat stance. The taller Uchiha spoke first. You didn't know Hyuga Hayashi was watching you, right? Darui deadpanned as he realized how foolish his plan had been. How dull. We would forget who we're stealing from, wouldn't we? It's dull, but I guess I have to fight you guys and escape now. Darui remained ready for battle, though he was somewhat confused, as still neither Uchiha had made any indication they wished to fight beyond the first shuriken. That, or you can listen to our proposal. Darui was confused at what these policemen had in mind. They couldn't possibly think someone loyal enough for a suicide mission in the Hyuga compound would consider turning traitor. I won't, Betra. The shorter Uchiha cut him off. How would you like the son of Yondaime and a last Uzumaki along with an Uchiha? Darui's jaw dropped. The son of Konoha's Yellow Flash and an Uzumaki like the one Kumo had tried kidnapping years ago, plus another powerful Dojutsu? Now he was really confused. You guys have to be messing with me. The shorter Uchiha spoke again, his voice dead serious. If we were trying to kill you, we would have let you jump over that wall. You can come with us, or you will be captured or killed. Darui still couldn't believe his ears, but the young Uchiha made sense. They had no need for such an elaborate plot when they could just kill him now, so he really didn't have much choice. Fine, lead the way. Inside the compound, Hayashi deactivated his Byakugan as two Uchihas confronted the lone Kumo ninja. Itachi and Shisui, two of the most talented and most loyal shinobi in Konoha. They are more than enough to handle one foreigner. With that, Hayashi returned to bed. Hayashi missed the tiny, almost silent footsteps down the hall. There stood a small dark-haired girl, hands by her lip with an active Byakugan. And Naruto. In the forest outside Konoha, Darui's jaw dropped as the taller Uchiha put down a blonde-haired boy with whiskers, the spitting image of Konoha's Yellow Flash. Even without being a censor, Darui could feel the chakra emanating from him. How much chakra does this kid have? Quite a bit, as expected since he's the Kyuubi Jinchuriki. Darui's jaw dropped even further. A clone of the younger Uchiha, who had escorted Darui out of the village, appeared holding a young boy who himself looked like a younger clone of the Uchiha. The clone placed the Uchiha child next to the blonde boy and dispelled. The taller Uchiha waved his hand over the two boys. May I introduce Naruto Uzumaki, Sasuke Uchiha, and Hinata Hyuga. Wait, who? Darui's jaw dropped as the taller Uchiha pointed at a tree back towards the village, and he saw a tiny, dark-haired girl with distinctive white eyes peering out from behind it. The shorter Uchiha explained, "I see. So that wasn't Hayashi watching us." Flashback back at the Hyuga compound. Hinata watched as the three figures stood watching each other. She recognized the leaf headbands on two of them, but couldn't identify the symbol on the headband of the third. She was afraid they were going to fight when they all turned and started walking away. The shorter Konoha ninja made a clone who left the group and then started walking with the unknown ninja towards the village gates. The taller Konoha ninja, however, separated from the group. Hinata nervously put her fingers together as she realized where he was heading. That's where Naruto-kun's house is. The young girl was almost frozen in fright, but she couldn't stay home. What if Naruto was in danger? No one looks out for Naruto. If he were in trouble, no one would come to help in. Hinata couldn't help herself as she quietly moved to the Hyuga compound entrance and slipped off after the taller Konoha ninja. Shisui slowed his pace so that his young tail could keep pace with him. The Hyuga heiress? She also won't have the best treatment if left here. Very well, we shall send Kyumo a team of 3. Back in the present. Darui almost had a heart attack at this point. He fully expected to wake up from the dream any moment now. No, wait. The Uchihas must have put him in a Jinjutsu for their cruel pleasure. Konoha must sure be dull if they have to torture me for fun. The taller Uchiha walked up to the young girl, visibly trembling with fright. Where are you tea-taking in Naruto-kun? The Uchiha reached out towards the young girl and lightly tapped the back of her neck with a knife hand. Don't worry, everything will be all right. The taller Uchiha walked back over with the now unconscious Hyuga girl. He laid her down next to the two boys, kneeled in front of the children, and closed his eyes. Are you sure about this Shisui? That technique strains you immensely. It's necessary for this to work. Keep a sharp eye out, Itachi. Itachi vanished, leaving Darui with Shisui and the 3 children. Itachi and Shisui, the 2 genius Uchihas? Yep, definitely Jinjutsu. Shisui opened his eyes. Darui noticed an immediate change. Gone were the 3 tomo that characterized the Sharingan, replaced with a black pinwheel design. Kodoame Tsukumi. Darui was about to release when he realized Shisui was looking at the 3 children. What are you doing? Cheating. When you arrive, they'll believe they've grown up in Kumogakure. Darui's eyes narrowed. Won't a Jinjutsu wear off after a certain time? Could they be offering these kids as sleeper agents? Shisui shook his head. Not this Jinjutsu. This is the strongest Jinjutsu in existence. A Jinjutsu so strong the victim's mind believes in the Jinjutsu as its own thoughts. Darui's eyes widened. Were he talking to anyone other than a true master of the Sharingan, he wouldn't believe what he was hearing. Planting thoughts in the minds of others without them realizing it. To think such a powerful Jinjutsu exists. So this is the power of the Uchiha. Itachi reappeared, a kunai in hand. Shisui, they're here. Shisui closed his eyes and stood up. He looked weary, sweat dripping down his forehead. He was breathing heavily, and Darui saw blood streaming down from his left eye. It seems that technique is not without risks. That's fine. I've finished here. He turned his head and looked at Darui. His eyes, once again, the Sharingan Darui was familiar with. Go now. Rejoin your team and treat your charges well. Raise them to be great ninja and preserve our will of fire. Darui nodded, though he didn't understand the part about a will of fire. He stooped down, gathered up Hinata and Naruto in one arm and Sasuke in the other, and vanished. Darui left just in the nick of time as four shinobi wearing ANBU gear with tantos on their backs and masks on their faces appeared. Their masks each bore the character Neferut. Shisui's eyes narrowed as he prepared for battle. A kunai appeared in his hand. "Let's go, Itachi," said Shisui, leaves appearing where he had just stood a moment ago. A river not far from Konoha. An elderly man stood over Shisui as Shisui lay unmoving on the riverbank. Shisui was panting, his body refusing to move. He could feel pain everywhere, was seeing doubles of everything, and the world was growing darker every moment. "You're the last person I'd expect to betray the village," Shisui-san. "What you've done will devastate Konoha's future potential. I'm curious to your reasons and the identity of your partner." Shisui's mouth curled into a smirk, despite the immense pain. "You've been extinguishing Konoha's will of fire since the newest flame started. I've done what was necessary to preserve that will and turn it into a bright beacon. As for my partner, let's just say in a bit it will no longer matter with what you're planning." The old man closed his eyes and shook his head. "Or a thunderous storm that will destroy Konoha. Shisui, you are an enemy of this village now, and as Konoha's protector, I will end you. However, I will take your eye. You may find redemption as your techniques will continue to protect Konoha." Further away, Itachi stood over the bloody bodies of the final root agents. Say what you would about Danzo, he knew how to train strong shinobi. Unfortunately for them, they were facing Itachi Uchiha, genius of the Uchiha clan and master of the Sharingan. No one would report to Danzo tonight. Itachi turned and set off to find Shisui. Itachi arrived to find Shisui lying on the bank of the river, unmoving, battered, and blood streaming from his closed right eye socket. Itachi rushed over to his friend's side and checked his pulse. As he did, Shisui's left eye opened, and he began coughing. "It's too late cough for me now, Itachi. I've already written this." Shisui's arm slowly rose. Itachi moved to take the note out of Shisui's trembling hand. Shisui slowly nodded. "Make it convincing. Danzo took my eye. Take my other. Protect our will of fire." "Thank you, Itachi." With that, Shisui's eye closed and his body slumped back. Itachi closed his eyes as rain started falling around him. It was unclear whether the drops on his cheek were rain or tears. Reiki's office, Kimogikure, 1 week later. The huge muscular form of the fourth Reikage stood behind a stone desk, curling an enormous weight in his hand. A cricket leaped onto his hand, causing him to pause for a moment before placing the cricket on his desk. A good omen? Hopefully so. Darui's taken too long to get back. He resumed his workout as a male shinobi in the white flak jacket of Kimogikure appeared, kneeling before him. "Darui has returned, Reikage-sama." The Reikage continued, curling the weight as he bellowed out. Very well, send him in. The door slowly opened as Darui stepped into the room. So far, he gave the rakeage no need to fear, as he bore no sign of injury or even fatigue beyond that of traveling. He had the same laid-back expression on his face as always, but the rakeage could swear he was holding back a huge grin. Sorry for taking so long, boss, but we picked up a little something extra on the way. It'll be dull, but let me tell you the whole story. You're not going to believe this. Chapter 1. Uzumaki Naruto, the next Raikage. Kumogikure, 12 years after the Kyuubi attack. The bright sun shone down on the village resting in a mountain range. All the buildings were built surrounding mountain peaks or into the mountains themselves, occasionally obscured by a few small clouds passing by. Among them, one large, blue, cylindrical structure stood out, built into the tallest mountain. The blue structure, which contained the office of the rakeage, was marked today by the abnormally high amount of 12-year-old visitors, all wearing the forehead protectors with the symbol of Kumogikure and covered in prodigious amounts of paint and occasional tears. A fair-skinned male Kumo ninja, wearing a black, high-collared outfit under the distinctive white, single-strap flak jacket of Kumogikure, a black eye patch over his left eye, and a black hat with a Kumo forehead protector built into it, pushed the door open as he ran into the office of the rakeage. He stopped and knelt in front of the stone desk behind which stood the massively muscular form of the rakeage, curling a massive weight with his left arm. Raikage-sama, we have a problem. The rakeage put down his weight and looked at the Kumo ninja kneeling before him. His body tensed as he felt a fire burning up from his stomach. He clenched his left hand into a fist in front of his upper torso, then proceeded to smash the stone stable in front of him, his eyes white balls of anger. What is a Dodai? Did he run off again? This time he'll taste my iron claw. Noraikage-sama. It's... As Dodai was about to explain, a few of the 12-year-old children burst through the door, tears streaming down their eyes. Raikage-sama. Raikage-sama. Someone covered us all in paint. The rakeage's face of rage immediately flashed into confusion. What? Dodai looked up at the rakeage before explaining. And not just them, Raikage-sama. It seems someone snuck into the genin training grounds and threw water balloons filled with paint at the genin. Every genin is covered in paint. The rakeage held his head with his hand, half in frustration and half to suppress amusement. Someone able to hit all the genin with paint-filled water balloons and not being dragged into the office at the moment? Only one person could have done this. Dodai eyes widened as the realization hit him. It must have been outside in the village. Naruto, the blonde-haired boy around 12 years old, wearing a black shirt and orange pants with an orange windbreaker wrapped around his waist, chuckled as he leapt across the buildings of Kumogikure, a bag of paint-filled water balloons in hand. Chasing him was a 22-year-old kunoichi with straight blonde hair and dark eyes, wearing a short-sleeved black and purple blouse, black pants with a cloud design on them and a red belt, and purple fingerless gloves with a chain of white beads wrapped around her left hand. Naruto looked back at his pursuer, spit out his tongue with his eyes closed as he taunted her. Ha ha ha. Catch me if you can, Yugi-1-san. Bet you can't, cause no one other than me could do this and get away. I'm incredible. Yujito opened her mouth to yell again, but stopped as her mouth curled into a smirk. Naruto stared back at her in a moment of confusion, then turned to see where he was headed. Bam! Naruto turned just in time to slam face first into the side of a mountain, afterwards falling flat on his back on top of the building surrounding that mountain. He lay there for a moment, dazed, before a shadow fell over him, Yujito's body blocking the sun. Eh, Naruto laughed nervously. Hi, Yuguwan-san. What are you doing here? In the Kumogakure Academy. Naruto plopped down on the academy desk, leaning over it, nursing his black eye from the collision and the bump on the back of his head when Yugi-One-Sen realized he was tuning out her lecture. Dodai leaned back against the blackboard at the front of the class, eye closed and shaking his head. Well, now that Naruto-kun has decided to rejoin us, we can begin the next lesson. Dodai turned to starting writing on the board, his voice droning into an endless stream of monotony. Naruto couldn't stand this, sitting still doing nothing as all the genin were training outside. He let his mind and eyes wander as Dodai's words flooded over and past him. Most of the class was unremarkable. Average academy students either busily scribbling down notes or try to hide their painfully obvious conversations from Dodai. 2 rows in front of him and 3 seats to the left sat Sasuke, a boy with spiky, dark hair, dark eyes, and a perpetually serious expression. He sat there, wearing a blue shirt, white shorts, and arm warmers, arms folded as he watched Dodai attentively. Naruto half-heartedly scowled. On one hand, he knew Sasuke as far back as he could remember, and they could be decent friends at times. But on the other hand, that jerk, always acting so cool, showing off, and making me look bad. Naruto turned away and looked around the room. Directly across the walkway that split the room in half from him were 2 kids that caught Naruto's eye for some reason. There was a pale, slender young girl with long, black hair and dark brown eyes, wearing a short, blue kimono with white edges held by green-brown obi. She's really cute, and I feel some sort of connection to her, weird. Sitting next to her was a pale boy with vivid, green eyes, shoulder-length white hair, and 2 red dots on his forehead. He was wearing normal Kumo clothing and chatting quietly with the girl. I guess they must be friends. Sitting in the back row was a young girl, resting her head and her arms folded across her desk. She had untamed pink hair under a black hat and was wearing a tan tunic with black shorts. Also noticeable was the fact that no student was willing to sit next to her. She looks lonely. Maybe I should talk to her sometime. Towards the front of the class, there were 3 more kids who caught Naruto's eye. There was a young, dark-skinned boy with short, spiky white hair sucking on a lollipop with a thoughtful expression. He wore a dark, overlong shirt with a hood and red bandage handguards. Naruto could hear him talk a bit. He seemed to be worrying about something. Arguing with him was a dark-skinned young girl with red hair and amber eyes, wearing a long, short-sleeved dress, fishnet leggings, and white boots. Sitting next to them and trying to ignore their arguments was a tall, fair-skinned and blonde-haired girl. She wore a low-cut outfit with mesh underneath, a short skirt, red handguards, and high boots. She was also very well developed for their age, if Naruto cared about such things. Hohelu Naruto. Naruto almost shot up with surprise and turned to find a dark-haired girl with white eyes that had a tinge of lavender, wearing a cream-colored and hooded jacket with fur around the cuffs and hem and navy blue pants. She blushed slightly as Naruto looked at her, though this was lost on Naruto, and she was nervously putting her fingers together. Naruto sheepishly grinned and put his hand behind his head. "Oh, hey, Hinata. Didn't see you there." Naruto was glad Hinata sat next to him. She and Sasuke were the only two people he really knew in the academy, as he lived in the same apartment complex as them, and he generally preferred Hinata's company to that show-off Sasuke, even if she did act a bit weird and shy around him, for reasons he couldn't figure. All right, and if you remember all these instructions, you probably won't go home bruised and sore today. Now everyone line up and head to the gym for Kenjutsu practice. Naruto spun around to face the front of the class as his eyes widened in surprise. Kenjutsu practice? Is that what Dodai Sensei was talking about this whole time? Naruto missed the beginning and thus tuned out the entire lecture, and now realized everyone was going to find that out as they beat him down. However, Naruto could generally win physical exercises by just outlasting his opponents. Hopefully, this was one of those exercises. The class entered a large room of a traditional style, with shogi doors and tatami floors. On one wall, there were racks and racks of wooden practice weapons of every size and style, from daggers to nodachi, with even some more exotic weapons such as broadswords, cleavers, staves, and nunchaku. In the center of the room was a marked square area with sides around 11 meters. Dodai waved the academy students into the room and motioned for them to sit down along one of the side walls. All right, when called, you will pick a weapon and enter the arena to see what you've learned. Otherwise, you will sit patiently and quietly on this wall. First up, Sasuke and Karui. Sasuke stood up silently and walked over to the weapon wall, hands in his pockets. He surveyed the rack for a moment, then picked a wooden chikudo and walked over to the ring. He looked over at Karui and smirked. "Come on now, are you going to fight?" Several of the girls in the class had hearts in their eyes at the sight of the cool young Sasuke standing in the ring, one hand in his pocket, the other holding the chikudo resting on his shoulder. "Go Sasuke-kun. Sasuke-kun, you're so cool. I love you, Sasuke-kun." Dodai sweat dropped at the young girls fawning over his student. The boy sitting next to Karui immediately starting thinking, "Oh man, Karui. He looks confident and everyone loves him. What if he's secretly a master of some ancient sword style and he hits you on the head, which creates a blood clot in your head that grows and kills you?" "Shut up, Omoy." Karui knocked Omoy over the head before walking over, grabbing a long bakkin and jumping into the ring. "I won't lose to a pretty boy like you." Dodai stood in between and behind the two academy students. "All right, rules are first to 3 points. I'm the final judge of all matches." Dodai put his hand in between the students. "Ready, begin." Karui immediately rushed in with an overhead slash. "Take this. Ah." Sasuke, keeping on the balls of his feet, stepped to the right and forward, bringing him to Karui's side. He took his chikudo in his left hand, pulled it up to his right shoulder, then swung out to his left, striking Karui in the back. "Gah!" Karui stumbled forward from the impact. 1 point, Sasuke. Karui quickly turned around to face Sasuke. Bakkin held with both hands, upright in front of Karui's face. He dodged very quickly, but early. I think I can use that. Karui raised her hands, holding her Bakken above her head again, and once again charged with an overhead slash. Sasuke again stepped forward and to the right as Karui moved to slash, but instead Karui stepped to the right and swung her Bakken to the left. Her Bakken and Sasuke's Chikudo both caught each other's left arms. 2 points Sasuke, 1 point Karui. Karui rubbed her left arm for a moment before returning to her stance. However, Sasuke picked up on this and immediately rushed forward. Karui's eyes widened and she jumped back. However, Sasuke hadn't slashed yet, the charge forward being a feint, and took another step before swinging his Chikudo into Karui's side. Gah! Karui fell to the ground, dropping her Bakken. She held her side in pain before she looked up to see Sasuke's hand extended. She grimaced for a second, then smiled and grabbed Sasuke's hand as he helped her up. Winner Sasuke. Sasuke and Karui walked over and placed their swords back on the rack as the majority of females in the class continued to fawn over their Sasuke-kun and his amazing victory. Dark clouds gathered over Naruto's head as he realized he had absolutely no idea how to do this. Oh man, Sasuke made it look so easy. Is this what Dodai-sensei was talking about? I'm gonna get crushed. Hinata could tell something was bothering Naruto. She was torn whether or not to bring it up and try to help him, or to let him deal with it and not embarrass him. And Naruto-kun. Up next, Hinata and Omoi. Hinata gasped and looked forward as her name was called to see Dodai looking at her. Her legs almost started trembling as she realized it was her turn. Naruto turned to see Hinata on the verge of trembling. Oh phew, looks like everyone's as nervous as I am. Haha, guess I was dumb for worrying. I'll be fine. Good luck, Hinata. You'll do great. Hinata's eyes widened and she turned to see Naruto sheepishly grinning at her. She blushed, but then steeled herself and stood up, her face slightly more resolute. Thank you, in Naruto-kun. Hinata walked over and started searching the weapon rack for something that suited her. Omoi stared at the ground and continued to suck on his lollipop as his name was called. Oh man, what if she's secretly the heiress of some super strong clan and has some awesome bloodline ability? What if she can hit me once and it somehow disrupts my chakra flow and my chakra overloads near my heart and I get a heart attack from a hit so soft I didn't even notice it and bam! Omoi rubbed his head where Karui had punched him. Shut up, you idiot. Just grab a sword and remember your lessons and you'll do fine. Omoi muttered under his breath as he reluctantly stood up and headed over to the weapon rack. Says the one who got beat in her match and is probably going to get liver damage from that side slash. And Omoi reached for a long Bakken like the one Karui used. He turned to see Hinata testing the weight of a Bakken the size of a Kodachi before nodding and heading to the ring. A mana Kodachi? Great defense. It'll be really hard to get hit on her. Hinata and Omoi stood across from each other in the ring as Dodai prepared to start the match. Ready, begin. Omoi started with a cautious slash. Just bring the tip of his sword in range of Hinata. Hopefully I can see how she reacts. Hinata gasped and quickly blocked with her Kodachi before trying to back up. Omoi was surprised. It seemed like she wasn't ready to fight. Omoy pressed his advantage and pretended to slash high, but then slashed mid. His Bakken passed under her Kodachi and slammed into her side. Hinata gasped in pain as she fell over. 1 point Omoy. Hinata looked up at Omoy in fear. She couldn't beat this guy. She tried paying attention in class, but her body wouldn't move and her mind had frozen. She barely moved her sword and misjudged Omoy's attack. She was only going to get beaten and hurt. She felt like giving up. Come on, Hinata! Hinata turned to see Naruto waving at her and cheering. That's right, Naruto-kun is watching me. I can't just give up. Hinata stood back up and prepared a stance. Omoy charged and slashed again, expecting the same reaction. However, this time instead of blocking the strike, Hinata ducked and slid under the blade, swinging her Kodachi and catching Omoy in the knee. Oof! Omoy fell to one knee from the pain. 1 point, Hinata. Omoy stood up and tried to analyze the situation. Oh man, her Kodachi is much faster and works at a range my katana can't. That means I can't let her get close to me, so I have to make sure my strikes hit. Omoy charged forward and slashed at Hinata's legs. Hinata tried to jump above the slash, but Omoy turned it upwards. Crack! Hinata's Kodachi collided with Omoy's Bakken as she blocked the strike. She then slid her Kodachi down Omoy's blade, catching Omoy in the side of the mouth. Yeah, Hinata, keep going. 2 points, Hinata. Dodai smiled as he watched Naruto cheer for the girl who was starting to realize she could win. That Naruto is something special. Even at such a young age, he's inspiring his friend to fight. Come on, Omoy. Don't let her just beat you like that. Karui yelled, almost standing up. Omoy couldn't lose too. Not after she already did. Omoy stood up and prepared himself one more. One more and I lose. Need to make this one count. Omoy charged forward, with his sword held back ready to slash sideways. Hinata began moving to the side again, ready to move under Omoy's slash. However, this time Omoy held back his strike until Hinata moved, then slashed when she was in motion, aiming for her hand to disarm her. Hinata released her Kodachi as Omoy slashed, then reached up and grabbed her Kodachi backhanded as it fell. Hinata spun quickly, her Kodachi slamming into Omoy's side and knocking him to the ground. Winner, Hinata. Who? Yeah, good job, Hinata. Hinata blushed and smiled as Naruto jumped up in excitement, then moved over to where Omoy was laying. I am sorry. Are you all right? Omoy laid there a second longer, then sat up. Oh man, I knew this was going to happen. Good job, though. I'm glad you're on our side. Hinata helped Omoy stand up, and they both placed their weapons back on the rack and sat down. Next, Kimimaro and Naruto. All right, let's go. There's no way I'm going to lose Databayo. Naruto jumped up and pumped his fist into the air. Hinata giggled and smiled at his amazing confidence. Completely unaware, Naruto had absolutely no idea how to dodge correctly as Dodai taught in the lesson. The girl next to Kimimaro let out a small chuckle as well at Naruto's outburst. He seems quite confident, Kimimaro-kun. That he does, Haku-chan. I'll be careful. Kimimaro quietly stood up and walked over to the weapon rack. He picked up a Bakken the size of a KO Wakizashi, tested the weight, and then moved to the ring. Naruto was like a kid in the candy store of the weapon rack, having a very hard time deciding. Oh man, which awesome weapon should I take? A katana? Two katanas? Naruto suddenly stopped and his eyes widened. He had laid his sights on a massive Zanbato, almost twice his height. He grabbed the handle of the Zanbato, lifted it off the rack, and turned to head to the ring, only to fall over from the immense weight. Dodai chuckled at Naruto's plight. Gets them every time. Naruto stood up, frowned, and pulled at the Zanbato several times before giving up dejected. Naruto's spirits picked up, though, when he saw a large wooden cleaver. Naruto stood facing Kimimaro. Naruto struck a pose, resting his cleaver on one shoulder as he turned sideways and pointed at Kimimaro. All right, get ready to get beat by Naruto. The future Raikage. Kimimaro just stood silently, preparing for battle as Dodai started the match. Ready, begin. Hiya. Naruto immediately ran towards Kimimaro and took a wild swing at Kimimaro's head, only for Kimimaro to gracefully duck under Naruto's attack and hit the back of Naruto's neck with his Kawakizashi. Oof! 1 point, Kimimaro. Naruto gritted his teeth as he blocked out the pain. I'm not done yet. Naruto spun as he stood up, jumped in the air, and brought down the cleaver in a massive overhead swing at Kimimaro. Kimimaro stepped to the side at the last possible moment and swung his Kawakizashi into Naruto's stomach. Act! 2 points, Kimimaro. Hinata's eyes quivered and she nervous played with her fingers as she watched Naruto take yet another hit. And Naruto, darn it, I'm going to lose without hitting this guy once. I can't let this happen. Not when Hinata and that jerk Sasuke both won their matches. Naruto stood back up. You're not beating me that easily. Kimimaro remained silent as he returned to his stance. Very well, I will come at you this time. Kimimaro leapt at Naruto, catching Naruto off guard with his surprising speed. Whoa, he's fast. Only one chance. Naruto pulled his arms back and swung with all his might at the charging Kimimaro. Then everything went black. And Naruto-kun. Naruto slowly opened his eyes. He could start to make out a girl with dark hair through the fog as vision started clearing. Hinata? Why are there two of you? Hinata let out a deep breath that Naruto was okay as Dodai cleared out the academy class surrounding the dazed Naruto. 1 point, Naruto. Winner, Kimimaro. Naruto took in the words for a second before their meaning hit him. You mean I got him? That you did, and it was a good strike. Naruto turned his head as he slowly sat up to see Kimimaro standing behind him, rubbing a bruise on his arm where Naruto had hit him. Your form needs lots of work, but you put all your heart into that last blow. I'm sorry if my attack hurt you. That was a good match, Naruto. Kimimaro extended his hand. Naruto's mouth curled into a big grin from Kimimaro's compliment as he grabbed Kimimaro's arm. Thanks, you fought well too. Ha! It was a pretty good strike, wasn't it? That's right. Naruto, sword master and one step closer to becoming Raikage. The academy class couldn't help but burst out into grins and laughter at Naruto's outburst. Dodai just shook his head. Some kid, his energy is infectious. Even if he didn't learn a thing from my lesson today. 1 month later, listen up. Naruto bolted up from the wonderful nap that was just interrupted. However, Dodai Sensei was using his listen or else voice, so Naruto decided he should pay attention for once. As you know, the semester is coming to an end. Therefore, 1 week from now, we'll have our Genin exam. This sheet contains all the material that will be on the exam. Prepare well and make us proud. Dodai handed out the review sheets to the class. Omoi studied the sheet nervously before speaking, half to Karui and half to himself. Oh man, what if this sheet tells us everything we actually don't need to know and the exam is on everything else, and they actually hold it a few days before this date to trick us and see if we're really prepared or just cramming at the last second and we all fail? Would you shut up? You overanalyze everything. On threat of physical pain, Omoi shut his mouth and did the rest of his analysis in silence. Naruto, however, was doing no better than Omoi, his eyes white with fear, sweat streaming down his face and dark rain clouds gathering above his head. Oh no, I don't know any of this. And all these jutsu are the ones I'm the worst at. I'm going to fail for sure. Are you okay? And Naruto snapped out of his misery and turned to look at Hinata. Oh yeah, of course Hinata. Just a little worried about some of these jutsu, that's all. Hinata blushed and looked down while fidgeting with her fingers. WL, you could always ask S-Sum to help you practice. Naruto's face brightened as an epiphany hit him. Hey, that's a great idea. Thanks, Hinata. In the valley of clouds and lightning. Poster? Coaster? Roaster? A dark-skinned, muscular man with white hair and a goatee stood in a water-filled valley covered in fog and clouds. He wore a white kimono forehead protector, oval sunglasses, a white scarf, and a white one-strap flak jacket. He also had 7 swords on his person and stood writing in a notepad he always carried with him. Hey, Octo-san. He turned to face the short, blond boy running at him from the direction of the village. He put away the notebook and struck a pose, extending his arms out with his hands pointed down, the backs of the hands facing out as his fingers curled back towards him. Jojojo, hey little Nine, what are you doing in this valley of mine? Naruto landed in front of B, his face almost glowing with excitement. So much excitement that Naruto even avoided deadpanning at B's rapping. Hey Octo-san, since we're both Jinchuriki and stuff, I was wondering if you could help me practice some jutsu for the Genin exam. B thought about it for a moment. On one hand, he had planned to use this week for training and improving his artistic spirit. But on the other hand, Yujito was on a mission, so no one else could possibly help his fellow Jinchuriki master his massive chakra. Be realized, though, that Naruto was one creative dude, and thus thought of a great compromise. All right, little Nine, I'll prepare you for the heat. But first of all, you gotta help me make this beat. The excitement drained from Naruto's face as he recalled countless times where he was looped into helping betrain his artistic spirit. Naruto's face deadpanned as he anticipated this next session. I had better pass this exam, Databeo. In the Kumogakure Academy 4 days later. All right, class. Take out your pencils and get ready for part one of the Genin exam. It took every ounce of Dodai's self-control not to burst out laughing as he snapped a photo of his class's faces, all of their jaws nearly touching the ground with the exception of Omoy, who just looked down muttering, "Oh man, I knew it," over and over again. He could see tears streaming down several of their faces. The pink-haired girl in the back row spoke up first. "What the hell, Dodai Sensei? You said we'd have 8% hashtag $ing week before the exam. It's not an asterisk $ing fair to give the in dollar asterisk percent ing thing to us now." The rest of the class nodded in agreement, though a few of them cringed from the girl's profanity. Dodai chuckled before locking eyes with the girl, his face once again serious. "Language, Tayuya-chan. And you think the world of shinobi is fair? Consider this your first test as true ninja. Shinobi must be ready at any moment for anything. Mission conditions can change in a flash, and you have to be prepared to handle that." Naruto just sat there trembling in fear, sweat pouring down his face. "I don't know any of this." Dodai's office the next day. Dodai decided to call in each student one at a time to discuss with them the results of their exam. He felt this was the best way, as he could help them identify where they needed to work and also whether or not the life of a shinobi was best for them. "Decent job in the written, but your jutsu weren't acceptable. Work on generating more chakra next time." The child slowly dragged his feet across the room, his head held low, tears dropping onto the floor. Dodai let out a sigh. He really hated having to disappoint the young kids like that, but it was for the best. Letting them run off too early and get killed helped no one. Next, Naruto slid into the room, no hint of his normal cheerful confidence. "Have a seat." Naruto slowly slid into the seat in front of Dodai's desk. He nervously grinned and rubbed the back of his head. "As so I passed, right, Dodai-sensei?" Dodai closed his eye and let out another sigh as he picked up the papers containing Naruto's results. He really hated to let the kid down, but someone had to look him in the eye and tell him. This was the best way for him to find out. "Naruto, your jutsu improved immensely, far better than I had expected them to be. However, your written scores were some of the worst I've ever seen. Were it not for the preponderance of questions on the third rakeage, you might not have scored anything at all. I can't let you pass. I'm sorry, Naruto. Try to study harder and stay awake in class next semester." Naruto's face fell. He stood up, turned around, and slowly walked out without a word. Dodai let out another sigh. Yes, sometimes he really hated his job. Next, outside the academy. "Hey, loser." Naruto looked up as he was walking out of academy to see Sasuke leaning next to the wall. "Ugh, what do you want, jerk?" Sasuke stood up from the wall and walked over to Naruto. "Well, what? Did you pass or not?" Naruto just looked away as Sasuke smirked. "Well, then you should have paid attention in class, idiot." Naruto stared at Sasuke with as much killing intent as he could muster as an academy student, tick mark bulging as he shook his fist in front of his face. "It's not fair. I worked really hard. Like really hard. Harder than you jerk. And Dodai Sensei Even said he was really impressed by my jutsu. Stupid written test. Sasuke kept smirking as he turned around and started walking away. Ah, well, if the written test is the only thing holding you back, you should do something to change it. Naruto's anger vanished as yet another epiphany slammed into his face. Yeah, I should do something to change it. Haha, well then, jerk, we'll see who's a better ninja tomorrow. As Sasuke stopped for a moment, Naruto must have thought of something for his mood to change that drastically while talking to Sasuke. He wasn't sure what changed in Naruto, but couldn't change that he failed. While he was curious as to what Naruto was thinking, he decided it was no concern to him. Whatever, loser, I'll see you later. Some of us have to get our new forehead protectors today. Kyomogakure Academy Noon. Be but Naruto-kun. Won't you get in tea trouble if you're caught? Naruto smiled at Hinata and struck a pose. Don't worry, Hinata-chan. That's why you're here. Besides, I won't get caught. I'm Naruto, Kyomogakure's #1 ninja. Hinata's face went completely red, and she had to remind herself to breath so she wouldn't faint. Did Naruto-kun just call me Hinata-chan? Whoa, Hinata, are you okay? Your face is all red. Did you get sunburned or something? As Naruto moved closer and pointed at Hinata's face, Hinata lost control of her breathing, and her world went dark. Kyomogakure Academy 10 minutes later. Hinata? Hey, Hinata! Hinata distantly heard the voice of a young boy calling to her. The voice sounded strangely familiar, almost like, Naruto-kun. Hinata bolted forward, consciousness returning to her all at once. Naruto closed his eyes and let out a sigh. Phew, you scare me there for a moment, Hinata-chan. Did you get dehydrated or something? Upon hearing Hinata-chan again and realizing that wasn't a dream, Hinata's face once again turned completely red. However, her consciousness was saved this time as Naruto had already turned towards the academy to start his plan. Hinata realized this and quickly moved to fulfill her part of the plan before her breathing stopped once more. She quickly ran around the side of the academy and performed the dog, boar, and then ram hand signs. Enhin no Jutsu. In Dodai's office. Dodai looked wistfully outside before sitting down to do more paperwork. What a beautiful day. You children are lucky you get a lunch break. Right as Dodai was about to begin filling out the first form, one of his students burst through the door. Dodai-sensei, Dodai-sensei, Naruto has a bag full of balloons again. I think he's coming after us again. Dodai's eyes narrowed, and he shot up. Not again. I knew Naruto-kun would exact revenge eventually, but I never expected it to be so soon. This is the day the students take their ID photos. I better stop Naruto now. Dodai looked out the window and indeed saw Naruto running with a bag full of water balloons, the other kids running and screaming. Dodai darted out of the room, leaving the young student alone in his office. A piece of cake. Now where are those exams? 15 minutes later. Dodai walked briskly back to his office, his hand pushing on the back of the young girl, trembling with fear, looking down to the side, and fidgeting with her fingers. I don't understand, Hinata-chan. You are always such a well-behaved young girl. Why pull a stunt like this? For reasons Dodai couldn't understand, Hinata blushed more than he thought anyone could blush when he said Hinata-chan. WLUSC. Dodai thought she was about to faint from the anxiety when he saw the student who had informed of Hinata-chan's antics walk out of the room right past them. Hinata-chan, Idudai-sensei. Strange, he was just waiting quietly in my office for 15 minutes? Hinata blushed even more as she and Dodai walked into the office. Dodai had Hinata sit down and catch her breath while he walked over to his desk, noticing one of his cabinet drawers was unlocked and one of the papers was sticking out. He reached inside and examined the paper. Dodai closed his eye and chuckled to himself. So that's what this is about. Very clever, Naruto-kun, very clever. All right, Hinata-chan. I think because you've been such a good student and technically you've just graduated the academy and are no longer a student, I'll let you go with a warning. Dodai looked up to see Hinata could hold on no longer and had already fainted. Outside the academy student who had just left the academy sat on roof of a building, looking out at the mountains of Kyomo. That was so easy. I'm definitely the best ninja ever. Even better than Dodai Sensei. Oh, is that right, Naruto-kun? The academy student whipped around to see Dodai standing behind him, arms crossed with an angry look on his face. Naruto Dodai Sensei? I'm not Naruto, Don't lie to me, Naruto-kun. I already know what you did. How else would your 30% magically become a perfect score? Dodai held the edited written test in the student's face. The academy student looked down and then was engulfed in a puff of smoke that left Naruto standing there with a look of pure terror in his eyes. Please don't kill me, Dodai Sensei. I just wanted to pass. I worked really, really hard, and I really want to be a ninja so badly. Dodai let Naruto ramble for about half a minute before he motioned for Naruto to stop, took a deep breath, and then began. Naruto, after realizing your written scores were the main reason you failed, you devised a plan to replace your terrible test scores with perfect ones. You shamelessly recruited Hinata, a quiet and shy girl with absolutely no tendencies toward pranks, to pull off a distraction which, given your own history of pranks, you knew I would fall for. You then had the gall to sneak into my office, sift through my records, and change your own scores, hoping I would think I had made a mistake and call you back to promote it. This was the most sneaky, underhanded, shameless, and I must say brilliant plan an academy student has ever come up with to cheat and pass this exam. For that, I have decided that just this once I will make an exception. Oh, you can open your eyes now, Naruto. I'm not going to hit you. Naruto, cringing, opened one eye, noticing something dark in his top peripheral vision. He reached up to his forehead and felt metal. Dodai smiled at the confused young boy he had just placed a forehead protector on. Congratulations, Naruto, you pass. Now, come back with me to my office. You need to fill out some paperwork, and I think Hinata-chan might need some help getting back home. Joy slowly crept into Naruto's face as understanding reached him, and he soon bust out into a full grin and grabbed Dodai in a hug. Dodai chuckled and patted the young boy's head. Breath, Naruto, breath. Oh, and one more thing. Dodai held the altered paper in front of Naruto. He pointed to his own notes, scratched out by Naruto, and then to Naruto's replacement notes. Handwriting aside, there was one clear difference between the two. Learn to write kanji. Chapter 2. You can't just become a genin. Naruto's apartment 1 week after genin exam. Beep, 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 beep. Naruto jolted awake. His mouth curled into a huge grin as he realized his first official day as a genin had begun. He'd been so excited he barely slept. Naruto tapped his alarm, threw off the covers, got dressed in his signature orange clothing with the addition of a shiny, new Kumo forehead protector, and prepared himself a bowl of cereal. Oh man, I can't wait. My first day as a real shinobi. This is going to be awesome. Naruto grinned, intently eating his cereal when he glanced at the clock, causing a spew of milk and cereal across the table. Oh man, how did I sleep in? I'm going to be late for sure. Kumogakure Academy. Naruto slid into the entrance of the door, only to breath a sigh of relief as he saw Dodai Sensei hadn't started, yet even though most of the class was already there, sporting their new forehead protectors on their heads, arms, and occasionally waists. He took another breath, recovering from the run across the village, before walking down to his usual seat by Hinata. As he sat down, he felt a tap on his shoulder and turned to see Sasuke standing behind him, smirking as usual. Hey loser, what are you doing here? I thought you didn't pass this exam. Naruto smirked and replied back. Haha, guess they just thought I was too good to pass up. Right, Hinata-chan? Naruto turned to Hinata, who giggled and blushed only mildly this time as she nodded her agreement. Sasuke maintained his smirk, unfazed by the surprising turn of events. Whatever you say, loser. Might want to pay attention this time around. I hear genin have to read their mission assignments. With that, Sasuke walked forward and took his seat further up the class, leaving Naruto to glare and shake his fist while the girls stared in awe of his cool demeanor. Grr, Sasuke trying to act all cool and show off. Why do the girls all like him? I'm way better than that jerk. You like me better than him, right, Hinata-chan? Hinata's face went completely red as she started fidgeting with her fingers. Well, luckily for Hinata, Dodai walked into the room holding a clipboard, the look on his face demanding the class's attention. The class calmed down with uncharacteristic speed as they waited for their first day as genin, all eyes locked onto Dodai. Dodai waited a minute to let the suspense build before he opened his mouth to speak. First, congratulations to you all. Due to all of your hard work, you have been promoted to the rank of genin and are now officially shinobi of Kumogakure. I hope you'll continue your diligence and make your village and comrades proud. Now to business. As you may know, genin do not stay in the academy. As true ninja, you will be placed on squads of 3 and assigned Jonin Sensei, with whom you will train and complete missions with from now on. I will now read off the teams. Naruto grinned as he started dreaming about the awesome team he was going to get. Maybe that cute Haku girl. Oh, and Hinata-chan, since she's my best friend in the class. On Team Lightning, Samui, Karui, and Omoy head to training field A. Oh man, they named us Team Lightning? What if they're naming the teams based on what they teach us, and they only teach us close-range right-on jutsu, and then we have to fight a bunch of long-range futon jutsu users, and we get torn apart in ki? Bam! Would you cut that out? We're going to be on a team, so I don't want to hear you overanalyzing everything. Sammy just closed her eyes and sighed. Act cool, you two. You're supposed to be ninja now. Next on Team Water, Kimimaro, Haku, and Tayuya head to Training Field B. Kimimaro and Haku just smiled at each other as Tayuya looked up at them from the back of the room. Great, the $carrot hashtag asterisk. ING, strongest swordsman in the class, and his and hashtag $carrot. ING girlfriend. Well, as long as they don't end up being weak carrot hashtag percent dollar heads who will get separated from me and let me die for the sake of their precious person, yuck. Naruto was a little disappointed that he wouldn't be on a team with that cute Haku girl, but still had high hopes for his team. All right, there's still Hinata-chan. As long as I'm not with that jerk, Sasuke. Hinata was again nervously playing with her fingers. Please let me be on a team with Naruto-kun. Team Fire. Naruto Hinata. Hinata's face shot up, immediately brightened with a smile on her face. Had Naruto not been in the same room sitting right next to her, she might have leapt out of her seat and cried out in joy. She looked at Naruto, face beaming with a slight blush. Naruto turned to her and smiled. All right, Hinata-chan's on my team. This team's going to be great. And Sasuke, head to Training Field C. Naruto turned to face forward, glaring at Sasuke before turned to Dodai, standing up and shaking his fist with a face full of rage. No way, Dodai-sensei. Why the hell do I have to be with that loser? Dodai let out a sigh. Because, Naruto, that loser as you called him got the best overall scores in the class, which average out your worst ones. And because this particular team has been planned for years. Naruto crossed his arms and grunted as the class laughed at his plight. Sasuke turned to face his new teammate. Hey loser, try not to slow me down. Naruto grunted and glared at Sasuke as he followed him to the training field. Hinata following him, playing nervously with her fingers with a slight smile on her face. In the office of the Reikage, a male jonin wearing the jonin garb of Kimogakure entered the Reikage's office, knelt, and then stood up to address his leader. You called for me, Reikage-sama? The Reikage continued his perpetual weight, lifting as he spoke to his jonin. Yes. Have you received the information on your new Genin squad? The jonin pulled out a folder filled with the grades, comments, and general information on his new team. He wasn't expecting to be leading a team, but the Reikage had requested him personally. Yes, Reikage-sama, one very talented and confident, one with potential but confidence issues, and one very hardworking but somewhat dense. And the jonin looked back over the files. Something was missing here. This Genin squad seemed no different from any other. Certainly not unique enough for Reikage-sama to personally request a shinobi of his caliber and importance. What is the true reason you requested me for this team? The Reikage closed his eyes and thought for a moment before smiling slightly. I guess you would have figured it out. As you suspected, this is no normal team. Officially, their names are Erasure no Sasuke, Erasure no Hinata, and Erasure no Naruto, as is customary of all the children Kumo adopts as its own. However, their original names were Uchiha Sasuke, Hyuga Hinata, and Uzumaki Naruto. The jonins eyes widened in surprise. So these are? Yes, these are the children. With two dojutsu Kekkei Genkai and an Uzumaki Jinchuriki, I felt you were the only one qualified to train this group. There isn't any problem with this. None whatsoever, Reikage-sama. What happened, happened. It's all in the past now. Besides, wherever they were from, they are fellow children of Kumogakure now. The Reikage nodded at this, accepting the Jonin's word. Very good. You are dismissed. I'm sure your new team is very excited to meet you. The Jonin bowed once more before exiting the office, then took one more look at the files of his team. Uchiha Sasuke, Hyuga Hinata, and Uzumaki Naruto. Training Field C. Naruto had continued glaring at Sasuke the whole way to the field, while Sasuke ignored him and Hinata stood between and behind them, watching with a concerned look on her face. The three stood in a large, open area surrounded by mountains on three sides and a steel chain-link fence on the other. The area had some large boulders and varied in elevation with some sparse trees, designed to simulate combat in mountain terrain. A small creek cut through the middle of the area. What's taking him? We've been waiting 2 hours already. Hinata looked down while fidgeting with her fingers. I'm sure he has a good reason to be late. And Naruto-kun. Sasuke said nothing, sitting on a boulder resting with his hands folded and supporting his chin. Naruto glared at him once more, then grunted and turned away, arms crossed and eyes closed. Suddenly, the three genin heard footsteps approaching and turned to face the newcomer. They saw a fair-skinned man who appeared around his 30s. He had red, chin-length hair and wore the traditional shinobi outfit of Kumogakure, complete with the Kumogakure forehead protector and the white, single-strap flak jacket indicating his rank. Naruto also noticed something strange about the man's eyes. They were light purple with concentric black circles. Good afternoon, team. Sorry I'm late. Had some things to take care of. So, since we're going to be comrades, why don't you introduce yourselves? Go ahead and say as much as you'd like. Name, likes, dislikes, hopes and dreams, answer for world peace, etc. I'll start. Imarashi no Nagatu. I like practicing ninjutsu and grilled fish and stew, and dislike war and the pain it causes. My dream is to one day find the path to true peace. With that, Nagato nodded at Naruto to begin. Naruto grinned and adjusted his forehead protector. I'm Erasure no Naruto. I like cup ramen and all my friends around the village, especially my best friend Hinata-chan. Nagato and Sasuke turned to see Hinata lying unconscious on the ground, her face redder than the Jonin's hair. Naruto continued his introduction, blissfully unaware anything had happened. I dislike waiting for my ramen to cook. Oh, and Octo-san's rapping. Nagato and Sasuke both shuddered and nodded their agreement. And my dream is to become Reikage so I can protect all my friends and everyone in the village. Databeo. Nagato smiled at the young boy and then looked to the other two. Hinata was still regaining consciousness, so he nodded at Sasuke. Sasuke still hadn't moved from his position as he replied. Im Arashi no Shasuka. I dislike a lot of things and like winning. My goal is to become the strongest shinobi in the village. Nagato nodded once again. I see. Nagato turned to see Hinata, just recovering. Naruto turned and finally realized something had happened. Hey, Hinata-chan, why are you lying on the ground? Are you sleepy or something? Hinata blushed and was trying to stammer out a response. Nagato watched their interaction with a strange mix of pity and amusement. Ah, so this is what it'll be like, is it? Poor girl, I better save her this time. Hinata, was it? Go ahead and introduce yourself. Hinata turned to look at Nagato a second before comprehending, then tried to compose herself and respond. I like pea pressing flowers. I don't really like sea crabs or shrimp. My dream eye is to become as strong enough to pea protect the people I see care about. Nagato could swear he saw Hinata glance quickly at Naruto during that last part, and the blush from Hinata seemed to confirm his suspicion. But if so, Naruto obviously missed it. Very good. Now that we're all introduced, let's begin the final test. The three students stared at Nagato in confusion, while Naruto and Hinata did. Sasuke just raised an eyebrow, which for him was tantamount to the same thing. Naruto said what was on all their minds. Test? What test? I thought we already passed the Genin exam, Nagato-sensei. Nagato calmly explained the situation to his team. You passed the preliminaries, but these only determined those with potential to become Genin. The true Genin exam is performed by us Jonin. Nagato chuckled a bit. You didn't actually think you could just become Genin with some book knowledge and a couple E-rank jutsu, did you? The look on Naruto's face indicated that he had indeed thought just that. Hinata looked worried, while Sasuke just smirked. I thought there was more to it than that. Nagato smiled. Well, now you seem like a bright one. Tell me, young Sasuke, what more do you think there is to it? Sasuke closed his eyes, maintaining his smirk as he continued. You're probably going to have us fight you to see if we can handle ourselves in ninja combat. Nagato chuckled and formed a cross-shaped hand sign. Well, I guess we can do that if that's what you want. Gahibun sin no jutsu. A puff of smoke surrounded Nagato, clearing to reveal there were now two Nagatos. Very well. For your final test, you will fight one of my shadow clones. You must defeat him within an hour to pass. As he is a shadow clone, one good solid hit or several minor hits will dispel him. If you can hit him, that is. Oh, I should also mention that I'm only allowed to pass two of you. Have to be fair to the other teams and all. So now's the time to show off what you can do. Well, good luck. Nagato walked to the side and leaned against a boulder to observe. The clone walked out a bit and turned to face the three Genin. Ready, go. The Nagato clone looked around, searching for the ninja that had vanished on the word go. HM, it seems like they've hidden themselves well. Well, most of them have anyway. The Nagato clone turned to face Naruto, charging straight at him. Ha-iya, take this. The Nagato clone easily jumped out of the way of Naruto's wild punch and reached into his pouch. Naruto immediately jumped back as Hinata and Sasuke watched from behind a group of boulders and blended among one of the few trees. And Naruto-kun, is he going to use a weapon? The Nagato clone fished around his pouch and pulled out a book written by someone named Jiraiya. The clone opened the page, his eyebrow raised, and he glanced at Naruto once more before returning to the book. HM, That's interesting. Must be a coincidence. Naruto just pointed at the Nagato clone, his eyes huge white orbs of combined shock and rage. Is that a book? The Nagato clone glanced up. Why, yes, it is. I see you've developed incredible powers of observation, Naruto-kun. The clone returned to the book. What the hell are you doing reading a book in the middle of a fight? The clone flipped the page. Well, I want to know how it ends. It really is a great book. You should read it sometime. The clone looked at Naruto once more. What? Weren't you going to attack? Or are you afraid of the pain it'll cause you? Naruto's head nearly burst from rage. That's it. I'll teach you to underestimate me, Databeo. With that, Naruto charged once more. The Nagato clone stuck out one hand, which palmed Naruto in the face as he charged. Naruto fell to the ground on his back and found he couldn't get up. What's going on? I believe the name is Suetun. Mijuame Nabara, water style, syrup trap. Easy to avoid, just have to channel your chakra so you stay on top of it rather than sink into it. Just like water walking or tree climbing. You know how to do that, right? Naruto's face twisted in rage again. Hell no, I don't. What are you doing, breaking out ninjutsu on a genin? The Nagato clone sighed and pulled out a kunai. Well, can't have a weakling like you be a ninja. Let's see if you can at least handle pain. The real Nagato continued watching from the side. Naruto-kun has spirit, but doesn't seem to know many jutsu. We'll have to work on that. Gotta watch the personalities on those clones, though. This one seems a bit sadistic. No. The Nagato clone turned and used his kunai to block a kunai that had shot out from the boulders. He looked up as a shadow started growing over him. A figure had appeared in the sun and was growing fast. Nagato sidestepped as Hinata struck the ground with her palm where the clone had been standing. I won't let you hurt Naruto-kun. Hinata stood in a stance with her weight on her back foot, with one hand held back by her waist and another placed in front of her, both with the palms facing Nagato. Her pupils were now more visible, and the veins near her temples were bulging out. The real Nagato's eyebrow raised at this. That's the Byakugan and a Jukin, gentle fist stance. I suppose they still have some subconscious memory of techniques they learned previously. That must have been one complicated jinjutsu for things like this to bleed through without tipping them off. The Nagato clone smiled. Risking yourself to save a friend? I commend your intentions, but tell me, Hinata-chan, do you truly believe you can defeat me? Naruto's eyes widened in surprise, and then fear as Nagato spoke. He's right. I couldn't even touch him, and I won more academy fights than Hinata-chan. Hinata-chan? Get out of here, I'm fine. He's just going to beat on you. Hinata gulped down a sense of dread, but placed it aside and leapt at Nagato. Hinata began a series of flowing attacks, gracefully and gently launching her palms at the Nagato clone. The Nagato smiled as it dodged every single attack, waiting for Hinata to leave herself open before backhanding her hard, sending her flying through the air and landing with a thud. That's two down. The real Nagato shook his head a bit. That much force may have been excessive. Definitely need to be careful of clone personalities. Hinata-chan, what did you do to her? Naruto was almost trembling with rage as he helplessly watched the Nagato clone launch Hinata through the air and saw her hit the ground. She just lay there, unmoving. Is this the first time you've seen a friend beaten like this? It's time to grow up, Naruto-kun. We're ninja. It's our job to kill and cause pain so that others cannot do the same to us. Your enemies in the field will do much, much worse than this. Maybe now you understand a bit of the pain it takes to become a shinobi. The real Nagato's eyes narrowed. Yeah, this clone likes pain far too much. As Naruto clenched his teeth and glared at the clone, 3 shurikens slammed into the side of the clone's head. Sasuke landed from where he had jumped out to launch his attack. The clone disappeared in a puff of smoke, leaving a log with 3 shuriken in it. Sasuke stepped back in surprise. Darn it, I should have known that opening was too obvious. Now he knows where I am. Well done, Sasuke-kun. Sasuke turned to see the Nagato clone standing behind him, leaning next to a tree. Waiting until the others had worn me down as much as possible before launching a sneak attack. Too bad I knew where you were the whole time. The trap for later was a nice touch. Sasuke's eyes betrayed his surprise and fear. No way. The whole time he knew my entire plan? So this is the strength of a jonin. Sasuke quickly recovered and started tossing shuriken at the clone. The clone smiled and started tossing shuriken back, matching and knocking Sasuke's out of the air. Sasuke started increasing his rate of fire, only for the clone to follow suit. As the last few shuriken collided, Sasuke pulled a folded Fuma shuriken from his pouch, unfolded it, and launched it at the clone. The clone grabbed it out of the air, only for a second Fuma shuriken to appear in the first shadow. The Nagato clone quickly leaped to the left. I got you now. Sasuke quickly performed the boar, horse, and tiger hand signs, then held the tiger sign as he took a deep breath. Katan, Gokaki no Jutsu, Fire Style, Grand Fireball. The Nagato clone performed the same hand signs and also took a deep breath. The 2 shinobi both exhaled at the same time, sending massive balls of fire that collided with each other, leaving both breathing huge waves of fire that continuously smashed into each other. Sasuke grunted, but then pushed as much chakra as he could into the jutsu. He smirked on the inside as his fire began to overcome and engulf the clones. The real Nagato watched with interest. He also has some clan jutsu from before, it seems, and decent chakra reserves to pull off a fire jutsu like that, even if my clone is holding back. The clone formed a cross with his hands, creating a puff of smoke next to him, which dissipated to reveal another clone. The second clone clapped his hands together, compressing air and creating a powerful gale. Futon, Rapusho, Wind Style, Gale Palm. The second clone's gale launched into the first clone's fireball, causing the clone's fireball to explode into an inferno that instantly engulfed Sasuke's jutsu and sent Sasuke flying. As Sasuke hit the ground, an alarm clock began ringing. The real Nagato stood up and dispelled his clone. That's enough. I think I have sufficient information to make my assessment. Nagato stood in front of the 3 battered, bruised, and in one case burned genin resting themselves on top of some rocks. He let out a sigh and then opened his mouth to speak. Well, during this fight, I was able to analyze your fighting ability and team dynamic, and have decided that team fire. Naruto stared at him with a hopeful grin. Fails. Naruto fell over and flipped at this. Hinata just looked down, defeated. Sasuke's expression remained unchanged from his original face. Vuvuha. Why do we fail Nagato-sensei? Well, first of all, not one of you could land even a single hit on my clone, even when given the element of surprise. Second of all, you missed the point of the test. What point? I thought the fight was the point. Nagato shook his head. The point was to see if you could work as a team. Hinata spoke up. But Nagato-sensei, why you said only T2 of us would pass? Nagato nodded. I did so to divide you. I want to see if you could put aside your own goals and work together. In the shinobi world, your friends and comrades are all you have to rely on. You have to work together and respect each other. Be willing to put your own interests aside and place yourself in danger for the sake of another. If you can't, your team, your mission, and your village will fall apart. You three can do this. First of all, Naruto. Naruto looked at Nagato attentively. You rushed in immediately without thinking or planning. You put yourself in a one-on-one fight without even thinking to find a teammate or two to help. In the end, all you did was get yourself beaten and captured. Naruto deadpanned as he realized how terrible that had gone. Second, Hinata, your attempts to help Naruto were commendable. However, he had already gotten himself captured at that point. Rushing in yourself didn't help him. In fact, it only ended with you defeated as well. You should have found Sasuke and formulated a counterattack plan if you really wanted to help Naruto. Hinata nodded slowly and then looked down sadly. And finally, Sasuke, assuming working with others would only slow you down, you waited and watched while your teammates were beaten one by one, hoping they would weaken the opponent enough for you to take him out. However, you ended up risking your teammates on a gamble, which failed when your opponent was strong enough to beat you anyways. You shouldn't have dismissed your teammates so quickly. Working together, you may have gotten a hit on my clone that working individually you never could. Nagato turned to walk away. However, I'm not without mercy. I will let you try one more time and see if you can work together. You have an hour to prepare. Be aware, though, this time you will not face a clone, but the real me, and I will not hold back. Oh yeah. Nagato passed Hinata and Sasuke bentos. Eat up, you'll need the strength. Don't give any to Naruto, since he just rushed at the start. He needs to learn discretion and patience. And if any of you feed him, you instantly fail. Right now, my words carry the authority of a god. Naruto just grinned and laughed. Haha, no problem. I don't need lunch. I'm tough enough to go all day. Just then the air was broken by the horrible sounds of hunger emanating from Naruto's stomach. Nagato smiled slightly. Indeed. Well, you have 1 hour. Good luck. With that, Nagato vanished in a puff of smoke. Hinata and Sasuke ate in silence while Naruto tried to ignore the throbbing hunger for about 5 minutes before Hinata inched closer to Naruto. And Naruto-kun, would you like some F food? Hinata put her bento in front of Naruto. Naruto stared at her in surprise for a moment, causing her to blush. What? Why Hinata-chan? Aren't you going to get in trouble for it? Hinata blushed more. Is he concerned about me? He checked. Nagato-sensei, I isn't here right in now. And, I am worried about why you P passing out D during the test. Hinata nearly fainted on you, but stammered out an excuse in time. Luckily for her, Sasuke nodded. She's right. We all need to be at full strength for this, or else you'll just slow us down, loser. Naruto glared once at Sasuke out of principle and then turned and grinned at Hinata as he accepted the food. All right, thanks. You're the best, Hinata-chan. I'm so hungry. What's going on here? The three genin whipped around to see nothing, and then looked up to see Nagato-sensei floating in the air above them, arms extended. So you mean to defy the authority of a god? So be it. Now you all. The three genin cringed in anticipation of the potentially village-destroying jutsu Nagato was probably going to release on them. Pass. The genin blinked, not yet fully comprehending. We pass. Nagato smiled cheerfully with his eyes closed. Yep, you guys proved you wouldn't leave a teammate down no matter the risk, and that's what we need in our shinobi. Now, come along, let's go get some real lunch. Naruto's look of confusion turned into massive grin. All right, Team Fire is the best. Let's go, Dadabayo. The other three couldn't help but chuckle. Training ground, see you later that day. Naruto whistled as he strolled out to the training field as the sun started reaching the tips of some of the mountains in Kumobikure. Nagato-sensei had asked each of them to go to a different training field. Naruto wasn't sure why, but he was sure Nagato-sensei had a great plan going. Naruto came to the place where Nagato had tested them and saw the red-haired Jonin sitting on a rock, reading his book. Hey, Nagato-sensei, you said you wanted to see me? That I did, Naruto-kun. Nagato closed the book and stood up. So tell me, Naruto-kun, what jutsu do you know? Naruto grinned at the chance to show off his skills. I know tons of jutsu, Dadabayo. I know the Henge no jutsu, and Kawarimi, and Bunshin no jutsu, although I'm not always great at that one. Naruto grinned sheepishly while rubbing the back of his head, then went back to counting. And I know, Naruto tried his best to remember any other jutsu he had learned in the academy. Nagato nodded. As I expected. Is that all, Naruto-kun? Naruto grinned nervously. Oh, of course not. I just, forgot my jutsu book today. Yeah, that's right. Nagato shook his head. It's all right, Naruto. We don't really expect genin to know any more than that right out of the academy, unless they're from a clan. And that's why we're here. How would you like to learn a new jutsu? Naruto's face brightened upon hearing new jutsu. Yes, Dadabayo. Please teach me a new jutsu, Nagato-sensei. Nagato chuckled and formed a certain hand sign. Well, all right, but only because you asked so nicely. Now watch closely. This is a jutsu that fits your massive chakra reserves quite well. In fact, I think you'll be able to do things with this jutsu no one else can. Training Field B. So Hinata-chan, what jutsu do you know? The Nagato clone questioned a shy, young girl, though he already had an idea of what her answer would be. Hinata fidgeted with her fingers as she talked. I know the jutsu from the A Academy. I also have this jutsu. Hinata formed a ram sign, and suddenly the veins around her temples bulged out while her pupils grew more visible. I can see everything around me. I can also see the C chakra flowing through people. I see. So you have a dojutsu, a strong one too, if you can see the chakra circulatory system. I have one as well, though mine can't see the chakra circulatory system like yours. Nagato pointed to his eyes with the concentric circles. Tell me, have you ever considered using your chakra to influence people's chakra circulatory system? Hinata shook her head. Nagato nodded in acknowledgement. I see. So she subconsciously remembers the form but not its intended purpose. By doing so, you could develop a very powerful form of taijutsu. The chakra circulatory system surrounds the organs. By sending your chakra into it, you can directly attack internal organs. Internal organs can never be trained to be stronger. So by doing this, you could defeat the toughest warrior with the lightest touch. Also, I could see you have amazing chakra control. With your ability to see into the body and to see the chakra circulatory system, you have a natural aptitude for Jinjutsu and Medic Ninjutsu. Hinata looked up at Nagato. She had never considered her chakra control or anything about herself, really. She always just assumed everyone else could do it better, since they seemed to pull off jutsu easily while she was taking her time learning it. Now here her Jonin sensei was telling her she could see things he couldn't and had great chakra control. Oh, really? Do you really think I see could do that? Nagato smiled and nodded. Of course, if you'd like, we can start training one of those areas now. Hinata smiled and nodded her agreement. Training Field A. So, Sasuke-kun, I know you already know Fireball Jutsu, and I assume you have the Academy basics down. Do you have any other jutsu? Sasuke shook his head. Nagato nodded his acknowledgement. I see. No Sharingan. It must be an activated ability. I'll have to see if there's any information about that. Well, you already know one elemental jutsu, which means you're already more advanced than most genin, including your two teammates. I believe we can teach you a few more ninjutsu in addition to the basics. I'll train you in with your team. Here. Nagato handed Sasuke a square piece of paper. Channel your chakra through it. Sasuke did as requested. The paper wrinkled, then ignited and turned to ash. Interesting. While you have an affinity for fire, it is not your primary element. Your primary element is lightning. So, Sasuke-kun, how would you like to learn your first lightning element jutsu? Sasuke grinned slightly as he moved to start his training. The Raikage's office the next day. That's our first mission. Naruto's eyes were massive orbs of rage as he shook his fist in shock. Nagato leaned over to reprimand his genin. Naruto-kun, I know you're disappointed, but you're talking to the Raikage. Besides, I thought you might enjoy a rest, since we found you unconscious in the training field this morning. Crash. Naruto was about to respond when he saw the Raikage had, yet again, smashed his desk. You punk, do you want to go back to the academy? These are very crucial missions that secure income and reputation for our village. How dare you complain? Do you want to taste my iron claw? Nagato smiled nervously with a sweat drop. Oh, no, Raikage-sama. Naruto's not fully awake and not really thinking straight yet. He's happy to accept the mission. Come along now, team. Nagato quickly hurried his team out of the room as the Raikage breathed out a small cloud to calm himself down. Darn it, dare we? Give me a new desk. A random office in Kyomogakure. Man, this sucks. So many papers. Hey Nagato-sensei, why can't I just use my new jutsu and finish these all? Nagato looked up from his book at the poor genin sorting through mountains of paperwork. Because Naruto-kun, D-rank missions are designed to build camaraderie and trust between teammates. You can't build that without time and effort after all. Then why aren't you helping us? Nagato's face was hidden behind the book, but they could tell from one of his eyes, they could see that he was smiling. To establish a healthy degree of separation and respect between master and student. For our team to operate correctly, clear boundaries of authority must be established. Now hop to it. I think Ichiro-san has some more papers for you. Team Fire deadpanned and glared at their sensei. Nagato chuckled at part of his book and turned the page as Ichiro-san dropped another stack of papers on the desk the team was working at. All in the day of a life of a shinobi. Outside Naruto's apartment that evening, Naruto shuffled to his room, mentally exhausted after sorting through an ungodly amount of papers. How on earth does anyone even use that many papers? I'm so glad I'm a shinobi and not a civilian, Databeo. Naruto pulled out his key and was trying to unlock his door as he noticed a woman around 12 years, his senior, walk around the corner. Oh, hey Yuga-san, what are you doing here? Yujito marched up to Naruto and grabbed him by the ear. Ow, 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 that hurts. I didn't even do anything today. Yujito continued marching, pulling him out of the apartment complex. Come along now, Naruto-kun. You aren't going home until you can read and write every last kanji for me. The color drained from Naruto's face. It was going to be a long night, Chapter 3, and they didn't even spare the ramen. Office of the Reikage, Kyomogakure 1 month after the formation of Team Fire. The 3 genin of Team Fire, each carrying a new sword and wearing a Kyomo forehead protector, and their Jonin sensei pushed aside a shoji door. They entered the Reikage's office and knelt before the massive, dark-skinned man, curling a weight with his left arm and holding a mission report with his right. Very good, Team Fire. Yet another successful mission. Darui will hand you your payment on the way out. Now, for your next mission assignment. Hinata and Sasuke deadpanned at the thought of yet another office assignment or worse. Naruto, face filled with rage and fist shaking, exploded with what they all thought. Not another lame D-rank mission. We're way better than this, Databeo. Give us a good mission, Reikage. One where we actually get to leave the village and do something. Nagato ran to cover his hot-headed genin's mouth, but he was too late. Team Fire saw only a dark flash as the massive hand of the Reikage grabbed Naruto's face. It hurts. Naruto cried out in pain as the Reikage squeezed his head, eyes white with anger and tick mark bulging. Taste my iron claw. How dare you question the authority of a Reikage and insult your sacred duty as a shinobi of Kyomogakure? The Reikage released Naruto and turned around, taking a deep breath as the blonde-haired genin twitched on the floor. And Naruto. Hinata watched Naruto in fear and sympathy while Sasuke just grunted and smirked. Nagato could only sweat drop. Naruto's never going to learn, is he? The Raikage took another deep breath. You think you're too good for D ranks, do you? So be it. I'll give Team Fire your first C rank mission. And don't come crying when you fail and are beaten. Nagato, Hinata, and Sasuke's jaw dropped as Naruto jumped into the air, fist raised high. All right. Thank you, Raikage. You're the best. Team Fire could only chuckle at Naruto's enthusiasm and apparent recovery from the iron claw of the Raikage. Team Fire, your mission, head to the land of Frost. You must deliver this scroll to the businessman Tetsuya. Now move out. Abandon Yamato Works, Kanagakure 2 days later. 3 ninja gathered in the center of a walkway. They wore tan cloaks and had on porcelain animal masks associated with AMBU. They knelt as a frail old man with shaggy hair, bandages around his right eye, and an X-shaped scar on his chin limped over to them with the aid of his cane. The man kept his eye closed as he calmly spoke to the ninja. A squad of genin matching the descriptions of the vanished has been spotted crossing the Kaminari no Kuni, land of lightning, Shimo no Kuni, land of frost border. You are to confirm, capture if possible, and kill if not. If intel is correct, they are led by Erasure no Nagato, one of Kumo's next Sannin and possibly the first of a new Kekkei Genkai. If possible, detain or kill him as well and bring his body. But do not underestimate him. Do you understand? All 3 ninja nodded. Dismissed. Rode between Kaminari no Kuni and Shimo no Kuni. Nagato strolled calmly, smiling as his genin looked around in wonder. For obvious security reasons, none of them had ever been allowed out of the village before, let alone the country. Naruto was like a caffeinated hamster, and only that calm due to his shinobi emotional control training. Though Nagato had to admit, the view was quite stunning. They were scaling down the last of the mountain ranges of Kaminari no Kuni, the snow-covered landscape of Shimo no Kuni stretching out before them. Had Nagato not been on the lookout as they were nearing the border of their territory, he may have taken a moment just to take it all in. Wow, you can see for miles from here. Sasuke chuckled at him. Well, yeah, loser. It's not like the whole continent is made of mountains. Naruto spun around and glared at his rival/friend. Duh, I knew that, jerk. You think I didn't pay attention during our basic geography lessons or something databeo? To be fair, Naruto had not paid attention during said geography lessons. Why listen to boring Dodai Sensei drone on when he could just ask Hinata-chan about the stuff he didn't know later? Though Dodai Sensei didn't faint when asked for a study help session, a memory that brought heat to Hinata's cheeks. Nagato chuckled at his team's antics. Well then, since you paid attention, Naruto-kun, why don't you tell us where we are? Naruto's face brightened at the chance to show Nagato-sensei his knowledge, and more importantly show up that jerk, Sasuke. Well, obviously, as we took the land route, we must be getting close to Shimo no Kuni. It's the only nation that shares a land border with Kaminari no Kuni, which gives us naturally strong defenses against everyone but Kirigakure. Ninja Academy, Konoha. A certain pink-haired student dropped her pencil right in the middle of a test, jaw open. Irika walked over to see what was wrong. What's the matter, Sakura-chan? You're trembling. The pink-haired girl barely looked up at Irika. I don't know, Irika-sensei. I feel like something very, very wrong just happened. Back with Team Fire. Sasuke couldn't help but let his jaw drop. Nagato, with years of experience and a dojutsu that lets him do the impossible, somehow managed to contain his surprise and just nodded and smiled. Good work, Naruto-kun. You're absolutely right. I'm glad to know you paid attention in the academy. Naruto grinned sheepishly and rubbed the back of his head at the praise while Hinata just smiled proudly. Suddenly, the surprise vanished from Nagato's mind as he realized Naruto probably had some private tutoring. Hey, Nagato-sensei, look at that tree. It's still green, but looks like it has some missing leaves. Nagato's eyes narrowed. There, sitting on the side of the road, was a tall oak tree with bright green leaves. A temperate deciduous species in a climate where only conifers grow, with green leaves in a winter climate. And that's ignoring the gasp when Naruto said, missing leaves. Well, definitely not a ninja ambush. Because no ninja's that blatantly obvious, right? That's kind of against what the word ninja means. Nagato calmly took a few steps forward when a rustling noise came from the bushes. A barrage of kunai, complete with exploding tags, shot and embedded themselves into the surprised Nagato. Team Fire turned around and watched in horror as their sensei disappeared in a massive explosion. Two figures jumped out of the trees and rushed towards the genin. One down. Too easy. It seems Kimo Ninja aren't all they're cracked up to be, right, sis? Shut up and focus. Let's take down that blonde one. The two ninja vanished and appeared behind Naruto, who appeared to be frozen in fear, kunai in their hands. Hinata gasped and looked away as the two buried their weapons in Naruto's head and back, only to hear a poof. The ninja fell forward, landing in the snow as two Narutos appeared behind the ninja, cleavers in hand and dripping with blood from the massive slashes on the backs of the two shinobi. Two more ninja launched out of the trees, killing intent in their eyes as they charged at Naruto. Clang! The clash of metal upon metal sounded out as the shinobi's kunai were deflected by Sasuke's Chikudo. Sasuke then pushed back, forcing the two shinobi back. Sasuke stabbed his sword into the ground, his hands flying through seals. The two ninja had leapt back and prepared to charge back in, only to be engulfed in flames. Katan, Gokaki no Jutsu, Fire Style, Grand Fireball. Gah-aha! For good measure, Sasuke threw his own kunai with an exploding tag into the inferno, blasting away the two ninja. Sasuke turned to Naruto, a smirk on his face. Good job, loser. I was expecting you to freeze up or something. Naruto smirked back. No way. What kind of ninja would I be? Freezing because it's my first time fighting. We Kumo shinobi are way better than that. Besides, no way you would have hit them with that without my epic skills. Sasuke's reply was interrupted by a shriek and dark laughter. The two genin turned to see a larger male ninja, one arm around Hinata with a kunai pressed to her neck. An evil grin appeared on the man's face. Kukuku, not so tough now, are you brats? Luckily for you, I'm supposed to take you alive if I can. Now, if you don't mind, please drop those weapon pouches and fancy swords. Naruto and Sasuke clenched their teeth. How could they have let this happen? They reached for their pouches when they heard the horrible sound of metal stabbing into flesh. They watched a spurt of blood fly in horror. I am Sorufinate. I thought he might go for a hostage, but I had to confirm something. Now I know. Nagato pulled his kunai out of the dead shinobi's neck and let him drop to the ground. He wiped his kunai off with a handkerchief carried for that exact purpose, then picked up Hinata and scanned her for injuries. Satisfied she was physically unharmed, he carried her over and placed her next to her teammates, Naruto and Sasuke, quickly moving to support her. Sasuke's eyes narrowed as he analyzed the battle and Nagato's words. Nagato-sensei, you said you wanted to know something. Did it have to do with them wanting us alive? Nagato slowly nodded. There was a reason this boy was one of the top of his class, after all. I wanted to see if they were after us or after the scroll. It seems the former. While I thought it might have just been one of the normal shinobi skirmishes that occur from time to time, they were aiming for us specifically. This mission just got a lot more complicated, especially since these were ninja originally from Konoha. The ninja currently called Hyo watched as the four shinobi of Team Fire walked away. He shook his head at the missing means failure. While they were always meant to die, he hadn't expected them to be destroyed that badly. He barely had a chance to gather any intel at all. However, in the squad he was assigned to had worked with less than this before. They were rude after all, those that grew in the dark to support the leaves bathing in the sun. They cannot fail. They do not fail. Hyo moved from his position silently, unseen and unheard as he slipped away. Team Fire campsite that evening. Naruto happily sat down on a log in front of the campfire, steaming cup of ramen in hand. He dug in, stuffing noodles in his mouth as quickly as he could while Sasuke slowly ate his own musubi. Naruto looked up from his ravenous feasting to see Hinata, curled up and holding her knees, her eyes quivering. Naruto gulped down his latest bite, wondering whether or not to try and talk to her. He couldn't stand seeing someone like that. Hey Hinata-chan, you look kind of down. Is something the matter? Hinata looked up at Naruto, eyes almost watering. She swallowed the incoming tears as she mustered up the courage to respond. I was useless. Why you and Sasuke-kun were so brave and strong. I just got kidnapped, and H had to be saved by Nagato-sensei. Naruto opened his mouth, mind racing for comforting words, when he noticed Sasuke walk over. Well then, get stronger. Hinata and Naruto glanced at Sasuke in surprise. You'll always be weak if you let people save you and then mope around afterwards. If you don't want this to happen again, then do something about it. Train harder and get stronger. Naruto glared at Sasuke. Why would he say that to his comrade? Hinata-chan had been kidnapped and threatened. This jerk's attitude wasn't helping. GR, don't listen to that jerk, Hinata-chan. You're plenty strong and work hard to improve. Everyone gets nervous. Don't worry. I'm sure you'll do fine next time. Naruto smiled, but then noticed Hinata's eyes were no longer quivering. She shook her head. No Naruto-kun, Sasuke-kun is right. I was W weak today, and I need to get stronger. W won't let it happen again. Hinata then smiled at Naruto, her face turning red. But thank you for trying to cheer me up, Naruto-kun. Naruto grinned sheepishly. Aha, no problem, Hinata-chan. The three genin jumped back as a lightning bolt flashed, and Nagato appeared before them and let out a chuckle. Ah, the Kumo version of the Shushin never got old. There we go, barriers in place. We shouldn't have any more surprises. Now, I hope you've all eaten and rested for a bit. While I was hoping we'd have more time before experiencing true ninja combat, it seems fate has decided otherwise. Therefore, you all need to become stronger. It's time for a bit of training. Nagato couldn't help but smile as Naruto's face lit up at the word training. Who couldn't love a student so enthusiastic to work? All right, what are you going to teach us, Nagato-sensei? I bet it's an awesome jutsu. Ramen and ninjutsu, Naruto's two greatest addictions. Nagato considered telling Naruto he would receive an all-you-can-eat meal on his sensei from his favorite ramen stand after completing the training, but decided to save that for a really hard technique. That, and the fact there weren't many ramen stands close by. Nagato pulled out two slips of paper and handed them to Naruto and Hinata. Indeed, it is Naruto-kun. Now, please channel some chakra into that paper. Naruto scratched his head, staring at the paper confused. Why, Nagato-sensei? How does this help us train? Nagato turned to Sasuke and nodded. Sasuke stood up, walked to the road where there were no trees, and started performing hand signs. Once again, Sasuke exhaled the ball of fire that characterized the familiar jutsu. It's time we started training you too in elemental jutsu. Sasuke-kun knew one before somehow, but now we're bringing everyone up to speed. That particular paper is made from trees that are raised on chakra and will react to the elemental nature in your chakra. Naruto's eyes lit up, dreams of spitting fireballs and shooting lighting from his fingertips swirling in his head. He pulled up the paper and quickly channeled as much chakra into it as he could. He was quickly vindicated as the paper broke into two halves, a clean cut appearing down the middle. Nagato nodded. It seems you have wind-type chakra, Naruto-kun. It's a surprisingly rare chakra type, even in Kaze no Kuni, Land of Wind. Wind type forms the sharpest blades that slice through anything and powerful gales to blow away and fly around attacks. It is strong at short to mid-range, though I've heard of long-range techniques as well. Now, Naruto-kun, tell me about elemental counters. Naruto nodded seriously and saluted. Right, Nagato-sensei? There are 5 elements: lightning, wind, fire, water, and earth, each of which has strengths and weaknesses against one other element. Lightning beats earth, earth beats water, water beats fire, fire beats wind, and wind beats lightning, right? In Konoha, Sakura shuddered once again. Nagato nodded. Correct again, Naruto-kun. I have to say your teacher must have done a very good job for you to remember all this. Nagato turned to the blushing Hinata and nodded. She looked down at the paper and hesitantly channeled her chakra to it. The paper turned damp and then started dripping water. Nagato nodded once more. You are a water type. Water is the most flexible of the elements, able to change state as well as shape. A fine element to have. All right then, on to the next step. Nagato tossed them each a box. Each box had in it a stack of paper slips. These are just normal papers now. You will use them to get used to generating elemental chakra. Naruto, I want you to try and cut these papers using only your chakra. Hinata, try to make the papers damp. Do you remember the special training technique we talked about, Naruto? Naruto stopped and searches memory for a moment. Flashback Kumagakure training field 3 weeks ago. Naruto sat on a boulder, staring up intently at Nagato. Since Nagato had asked him to come here separately, he was sure his sensei was going to teach him a brand new jutsu, one that jerk Sasuke couldn't possibly learn. Naruto, of course, did not know about the Nagato clones teaching said jerk and their gentler companion in separate training fields. Nagato wasn't one to play favorites after all. What kind of Jonin sensei ran off teaching only one of his genin? All right, Naruto-kun, today we're going to work on your chakra control. Naruto frowned. But Nagato-sensei, I can make chakra just fine. Why not teach me some epic ninjutsu? Nagato resisted the urge to smack him over the head or stab him with a chakra-conducting blade and keep the hyperactive boy still. If only he had such a blade. Well, you see, Naruto-kun, you have far more chakra than your two companions. Far, far more. Not as much as me, but with time and a ton of hard work, you might just approach my level. Nagato thought about it for a moment. Actually, no, you could never be that cool. Naruto flipped over and looked down depressed. But anyways, with your massive chakra reserves, you can become a terrifying ninjutsu expert, able to use more powerful jutsu more often. Naruto's face immediately brightened at the praise and thought of epic ninjutsu. He thought for a second. Then his face turned from joy to confusion. But then why aren't you teaching me jutsu, sensei? Nagato took a breath and continued. Because, Naruto, you have the worst chakra control of the bunch. Even if I tried to teach you a ninjutsu, it would take an eternity for you to even use it at a basic level. Trying to use it at a combat effective level would most likely cause it to overload and fizzle out. You need better control over your chakra before you can learn powerful and potentially dangerous jutsu. Naruto nodded. I guess that makes sense. Octo-san and Yugi-1-san tried to tell me that, but Octo-san said it in a rap, and I kind of tuned out Yugi-1-san's lecture. Nagato chuckled and shook his head. Classic Naruto. Unfortunately, there's no way to learn expert chakra control than to just practice it over and over again. Luckily for you, Naruto-kun, you have a training advantage no one else has. With that, Nagato backhanded Naruto and dispelled his clone as Naruto's burst into smoke. A little while away, the real Nagato and Naruto sat on boulders, Naruto waiting for Nagato to respond. What were their clones doing? Suddenly Nagato looked at Naruto. All right, Naruto-kun, can you summarize what you've learned? Naruto saluted and launched into a summary of the lecture. Nagato resisted a smirk as he counted down in his head. 3, 2, 1. Naruto's eyes widened in realization. Wait, how do I know all this? Nagato chuckled. There's a reason I taught you Kage Bunshin, no jutsu, shadow, clone jutsu. Your Kage Bunshin are real copies of you. So any knowledge they learn or memories they make are transferred to you upon their dispelling. Because of this, you can train at a much faster rate, as you could do 10, 100, or even 1,000 times the training in the same amount of time. Naruto laughed and grinned at the idea. All right, so that's how shinobi become so awesome. Nagato shook his head. Nope. In fact, Naruto-kun, you're the only one who can do this. Most Jonin only have enough chakra for a few clones, and only for a short while. You are one of few people with the chakra to create mass shadow clones for any reasonable amount of time. Of course, this training isn't without risks. Nagato snapped his fingers, and Nagato clones all over simultaneously destroyed the Naruto clones they had been training in tree climbing and other chakra-focusing exercises. Naruto's eyes widened, and then he fell over unconscious from the mental strain. Nagato chuckled as he picked up his apprentice and started walking home. Present. Naruto smiled and formed his signature Jutsu's cross-shaped hand sign. You bet I do, Nagato-sensei. Naruto formed about 50 clones, each with a piece of paper in hand. The clone all spread out and held the paper between their hands, looks of intense concentration in their face as they began the training. Hinata and even Sasuke's eyes widened at the sheer number of clones Naruto had created. Not even Jonin should have that much chakra. Maybe you aren't such a loser after all, Naruto. I'll have to train twice as hard now just to stay ahead. Several miles from Team Fire's campsite, two ninja in tan cloaks and porcelain animal masks sat in a circle, silently awaiting their comrades' return. They were not kept much longer as the ninja currently called Hyo appeared, kneeling before the ninja, wearing a wolf-like mask. The wolf mask ninja stood calmly, arms crossed. Report. Hyo bowed his head as he delivered his findings. 3 genin and 1 jonin from Kumobikure. They each match the description of the vanished. The girl possesses the white eyes of the Byakugan, so there is no doubt these are in fact the vanished. The 2 males can fight at Chunin level, the Uzumaki capable of Kage Bunshin, while the Uchiha performed Katon Jutsu. The Hyuga froze during the battle, so I conjecture this was their first combat experience. The wolf ninja nodded. And what of the Jonin? He remained calm and used a substitution to escape the initial attack. He then observed the battle before intervening to save the Hyuga. He used no jutsu. However, his eyes appeared a strange shade of purplish gray with several concentric circles in them, possibly a sign of an advanced dojutsu. The wolf ninja remained silent for a moment, as if thinking. He looked up at his 2 comrades. Very well, continue to observe for the moment. If an opportunity presents itself, we shall attack. If not, gather as much information as you can, and we shall proceed with the original plan. Dismissed. All 3 ninja disappeared and shot out into the night. Trading town 3 days later. After a few slow days of traveling and training, Team Fire reached the target town. While progress had been slow to allow for adequate training time, Nagato was pleased with the mission so far. Naruto, with his Kage Bunshin, had made amazing progress towards his elemental transformation training. Hinata, with her far superior chakra control and Byakugan to watch her chakra, was also progressing faster than expected. Luckily for them, Nagato was able to use all elements and thus could give them pointers. Flashback on the road. Hey, Nagato-sensei. Nagato looked up from his reading to see one of Naruto's Kage Bunshin standing in front of him. This wind chakra stuff's pretty hard. Do you have any more advice? Nagato signed and put away his book. I'm sorry, Naruto-kun. It's not like I can just use any type of elemental jutsu I want. Nagato then slammed his hands together, sending out a massive gale that knocked the Naruto clone on the ground. Nagato smiled. Or maybe I can. Try this, Naruto-kun. When forming wind chakra, you're trying to make a blade. So imagine splitting your chakra into two pieces and then grinding them together. Do it such that the two fields sharpen each other, like how you sharpen your sword. The Naruto clone nodded and then dispelled. All the other Naruto clones started encouraging each other and talking about the new revelations that had just come to them. Nagato smiled and returned to his book. Farther away, Nagato caught the falling Hinata. The poor girl had been going at it all day, and while not abnormally low, her chakra reserves were far below her powerhouse teammates. Are you all right, Hinata-chan? Perhaps you should take a break. Hinata was breathing heavily and sweating, but she resolutely shook her head. It's okay, Nagato-sensei. I think I can go on. I almost got it, so I can't stop now. And not when Naruto-kun and Sasuke-kun are working so hard. Nagato smiled and held out his hands. Let me see your hands. As Hinata placed her hands in Nagato's began to glow blue. Hinata felt energy flowing through her body, restoring it to life. Her tired and sore muscles suddenly relaxed and felt ready to move, and she stood up in surprise, unable to stop moving. There, I've passed some of my chakra to you. I admire your dedication, but Naruto and Sasuke have abnormally high amounts of chakra, and it would do no good for you to pass out now, trying to match that. Building up your stamina will take time, so for now we'll cheat a bit, so you can keep up. Present. At this rate, Nagato could begin teaching them some basic jutsu by the time they return home. Combined with Sasuke quickly learning the jutsu assigned to him, they were starting to become quite formidable genin. Nagato realized that the Chunin exams were coming up soon. Perhaps with a month or two of dedicated training, his team would be ready for a challenge. Nagato's thoughts were interrupted by the horrible sounds of hunger emanating from his charges. They had just spent the past couple days either traveling or training. They could probably use some sustenance, lest they fall over. Listen up, team. I don't think any of you are ready for a diplomatic encounter of such importance as this one. Therefore, I'm splitting our team duties. I shall deliver the scroll to our client. You all are to scout around and watch for trouble. If said scouting takes you by a source of sustenance, take advantage of it immediately. Stay together and stay out of trouble. Stay in town. I don't think there should be any trouble while there are civilians around. Just in case, take these. Nagato passed each of the genin a small black rod. These are chakra receptors tuned to my chakra. If you get into trouble, channel your chakra into it. I'll sense the disturbance and come to find you. So long as you do this and stay together, you should be fine. Now, any questions? 3 grateful and ravenous faces all vehemently shook their heads. All right, then move out. Nagato chuckled. He had never seen genin move so fast as his team had towards the nearest restaurant. Nagato turned and headed out towards the designated meeting spot. Hyo could not believe their luck. The Jonin was separating his team, leaving all 3 of the vanished alone while he left in the opposite direction. This was the perfect opportunity to complete their objective and run, without truly having to face one of the new Sannin. Hyo slipped off into an alley, then vanished in a puff of smoke. Naruto looked over the choices. He couldn't believe it. A ramen stand with types of ramen he hadn't seen before. He couldn't wait to try them. The stand owner chuckled at the young boy with wonder in his eyes. Clearly, this was a true ramen connoisseur. Can't make up your mind? I'd recommend the Kakuni Paitan. Several servings of our special pork in our unique broth. Naruto quickly wiped off the drool pouring out his mouth. The ramen smelled more delicious than any he had tried in Kumogakure, and Kumo had not a single stand untouched by the blonde boy. Yes, please. Keep them coming. Naruto dug into the heavenly, soupy goodness. He was heard Sasuke say he was heading to buy some omusubai and was only vaguely aware of Hinata ordering a bowl herself next to him. This was the most amazing thing he had ever had, and nothing short of shinobi attack would tear him from it. Sadly, Murphy had not taken the day off today. Civilians started screaming as several explosions rocked the ground. No civilian or building had been damaged, but the concussive force had knocked Naruto off his seat. He pushed himself up, only to see his precious bowl of ramen lying on the ground, delicious goodness pouring out onto the streets. His mind stopped, and he barely felt Hinata rush over to help him up. And Naruto-kun, are you okay? Naruto felt a fire burn in his stomach like he never had before. His eye began twitching as he grit his teeth and clenched his hands into fists. No amount of pain would suffice for this transgression. I'll kill them. Who dares separate me from my ramen? Naruto's eyes narrowed as he found his answer. An individual dressed in a tan cloak and wearing a porcelain animal mask appeared in the middle of the now empty streets. His stance and sudden appearance obviously marked him as a shinobi. He calmly walked up the street and turned to face Naruto and Hinata. Naruto-kun and Hinata-chan, I am prepared to fight, but would like to avoid that if at all possible. Yield and come with me, and I shall return you home. Naruto glared at the intruder with all the killing intent he could muster. Like hell we will. Who do you think you are? Attacking us in the middle of a town. I'll teach you to mess with us Kumo ninja. Hinata activated her dojutsu and gasped. This man was nothing like the group who attacked them earlier. While his chakra wasn't on par with Nagato-sensei's, or even Naruto's, he was well above the average shinobi. Hinata guessed he was at least low Jonin level. His chakra system was very well developed, indicating high, long-term usage. He definitely had far more experience than they did, and was confident enough to attack them openly with Nagato-sensei still in town. There was no way they could win against someone like this. She barely survived the encounter beforehand. How could they expect to even escape against someone this strong? Her dojutsu deactivated, and she started trembling at the thought, and half-consciously fell a step back, unable to move, unable to fight, unable to run. Don't worry, Hinata. Hinata blinked as she snapped out her trance. Had Naruto spoken to her? How could he sound so confident? He had to have sensed this man's strength. It'll be all right. I'll take care of this loser. You run and find Nagato-sensei. Suddenly, all doubt rushed from Hinata's mind. Naruto-kun was going to face this enemy, the same as before. She couldn't just run and wait for help like she did last time. No, she was going to help defeat this enemy, even if she had to risk her life. Hinata grabbed Nagato's black chakra rod and sent a pulse of chakra through it, then made some hand signs and reactivated her dojutsu. Once again, she could see their opponent's strength, but no longer trembled at the thought of facing him. Naruto-kun and Sasuke-kun had done it once. Perhaps they could do it once more. Besides, this man didn't know Sasuke-kun was nearby. She knew Sasuke was just waiting for an opportunity to strike. Unfortunately, Sasuke would not be entering Naruto and Hinata's fight anytime soon. Sasuke was busy muttering curses under his breath as he barely dodged another slash of his opponent's Tanto, only to have a foot plant itself on his solar plexus and send him flying back as he tried to counter. Darn it, this guy is fast. His taijutsu works too well with that Tanto. I can't get near him. Who are you and why are you attacking me? No nation is currently at war with Kimobikure. You have no reason to do this. Sasuke's attacker stood calmly, Tanto held in front of him across his chest with his free hand and feet ready to strike. I'm sorry, Sasuke-kun, but I must ask you to come with me. Prolonging this any longer will only result in pain. Sasuke roared, drew his chikudo, and slashed at the man's neck. However, Sasuke's blade seemed to pass through the man as he vanished, only to reappear with his fist in Sasuke's stomach. Gah! Sasuke flew back and slid along the ground, watching as the man leapt into the air, Tanto held high. He rolled to the side and stood up as the Tanto impaled the ground where his body lay a second earlier, then jumped back to evade the man's follow-up kick, managing to throw a kunai to prevent the man from pressing the attack. Sasuke cursed again and reached into his pocket, releasing a burst of chakra into Nagato's rod. He hated to admit it, but there was no way he could defeat this opponent on his own. Not bad, Sasuke-kun. You have the potential to become a Kenjutsu master. Unfortunately, your long blade is far too slow to break my Tanto-S defense, and your taijutsu can't compare to mine. Surrender now, and spare yourself further pain. If you keep this up, I may permanently injure or kill you. Sasuke threw several shuriken as he started making hand signs. Just try it. Sasuke took a deep breath and exhaled his signature ball of flame. Gaton, Gaki no Jutsu. Sasuke smirked as his flames died down, only for his eyes to widen in shock and fear as the man reappeared to his side. Sasuke turned to guard a strike, but the man had vanished, reappearing behind him. Sasuke gasped as the man continuously vanished and reappeared at different points surrounding him. Sasuke took a slash at the man as he appeared in front of him, only for his sword to pass through empty space and his arm to receive a cut for his trouble. Sasuke took a step back, grabbing his arm before trying to form the hand signs for another jutsu. However, he was interrupted as a fist slammed into his face. Sasuke dropped to the ground and spit out a couple drops of blood. At this rate, I really am going to die. He keeps appearing to move slowly when he's actually moving fast. Unless I can predict how he's going to change his speed, I'm going to die. Impressive, Sasuke-kun. Someone your age should be impressed to have jutsu of that caliber. However, even the strongest blade passes harmlessly through water. You have no attack that can pierce through my Rijui no Agoki, flowing water movement. A simple physical technique passed down since the age before shinobi were dominant. But ninja today forget the power of subtlety. With this technique, I shall show you its strength. Sasuke slashed once more in fear as the man appeared before him, only to have the man appear right below his blade, his tanto held backhanded. It's over. Sasuke barely saw what happened as the man spun, 3 slashes appearing on Sasuke's chest in an instant, sending him flying back as blood shot from the wounds. The man stopped his spinning to observe his unmoving victim. Kaiten Kenbu, Spiral Sword Dance. Outside a building on the other side of town, Nagato exited the building, allowing himself a small smile. The exchange had gone off without a hitch. Given his team's past luck with missions, he was half expecting a sneak attack betrayal. He allowed himself to relax only after leaving the building. I better go check on my little students. I wonder how much trouble they've gotten themselves into. Nagato suddenly stopped, face paling. There was no mistaking it. He felt 1, and then 2 disturbances as his students pulsed chakra into the chakra rods. Nagato channeled his chakra to his feet and prepared to leap towards their direction with all possibly speed when the ground exploded next to him. Nagato leapt to the side, landing on his feet and sliding across the ground as he turned to face his attacker. He saw a shinobi dressed in tan with a porcelain wolf mask. Nagato frowned. And what business would an ANBU have attacking a jonin of Kimobikure on a mission? I wasn't aware any Kages were so eager for war. Nagato pulled out a kunai and took a look at the man. He had decent chakra reserves, but they seemed subtle and subdued. Nagato narrowed his eyes. A Jinjutsu user, maybe? Probably here to distract me while they retrieve my squad. Nagato let out a sigh. I knew this was a bad idea. The man formed a ram sign. Arasi no Nagato. I've heard of you. Rumored to be the strongest of the new Sannin. It is an honor to finally meet you, if only briefly. Worry not. I doubt I could kill you or even stop you. A few minutes are all this will take, and then we will be long gone. Nagato glared at the man and started forming his own hand signs. Is that so? In that case, allow me to instruct you on the true meaning of pain, as I do to all who threaten my precious comrades. Gaha! Naruto-kun. Naruto clenched his teeth as he was sent flying through the air, puffs of smoke appearing all around the area as he and his shadow clones were flung back. Their ninja opponent took advantage of Hinata's moment of concern and charged straight at her. Hinata, having focused on Naruto for a split second, let out a gasp as the ninja slammed his fist into her face, sending her flying back to land on the ground by Naruto. Darn it, even with Kage Bunshin, I can't touch this guy. The shinobi walked towards them and pulled out a kunai. I'll say it one last time. Surrender and come peacefully. I will not hold back forever. Naruto jumped up and charged at the guy, creating another 5 Kage Bunshin, which proceeded to run and jump at their attacker. Like hell we will. The ninja ducked as the first shadow clone flew overhead, throwing his kunai at a second who tried sliding underneath the first and forming signs with his freed hands. Doton, Chikyu Furukin, Earth Style, Earth-Shaking Palm. The ninja slammed his palm into the ground, sending cloud of dust and pieces of rubble flying into the air. Naruto's Kage Bunshin stopped and raised their arms to shield their arms, only for the shinobi to slip through the debris, dispelling the Kage Bunshin with his tanto and kicking Naruto in the face. And Naruto-kun. Naruto flew back and hit the ground hard. He strained to look up, watching helplessly as the shinobi leapt at him, kunai in hand. Naruto closed his eyes and waited for the strike that never came. He anxiously opened one eye, only to see the man jumping back from a palm strike by Hinata. I might be W weak, but I W won't let you hurt Naruto-kun. Hinata set into her stance, leaning slightly back, holding her kodachi in front of her. Her other hand kept at her side palm open, veins visible in her temples. Naruto watched in horror as she charged forward and the man ducked under her kodachi, moved to the left of her palm, and stabbed his tanto into Hinata's side. Hinata! Naruto saw drops of blood hit the ground from where the man stabbed Hinata. Hinata gasped as the man pulled out his tanto and backhanded her, sending her sprawling on the ground, curled up with her back facing Naruto. Naruto clenched his teeth, eyes watering as Hinata lay there and stopped moving. I'll kill you. Naruto jumped and roared as he threw himself at the shinobi. The man calmly performed some hand signs and stuck out his palms at Naruto. The earth rose around Naruto and slammed itself shut, forming a dome around him. Doton Kekai, Dorodomu, Earth-style barrier, Earth Dome prison. This should hold you for a while. You might as well relax. With your level of physical attacks, you need above join level chakra to break out of this jutsu. Naruto grabbed his cleaver and swung with all his might at a wall of the earth prison. The cleaver left a massive gash, only for the trench to fill itself up before Naruto's eyes. I told you it's no use. This jutsu takes your chakra and gives it to me, allowing me to use your strength to repair the walls. There's no way for you to escape. Give up now. Naruto clenched his teeth, muttering curses. The man wearing a leopard mask walked over to Sasuke's unmoving body. Suddenly, he swung his tanto in front of his face and leapt back quickly, barely blocking a kunai thrown at his face. Impressive. Few survive my Kaiten Kenbu. Sasuke cursed inside. He was counting on his sneak attack doing some damage. Now he lost his one chance at surviving his fight. Sasuke grimaced in pain, using his Chikudo as a crutch as he pushed himself back onto his feet. 3 slashes appeared in his sheath, causing the top to break into 2 pieces which fell to the ground. I see. You pulled your sheath in front of you to take the brunt of my attack. Very clever. It's regrettable. You would have made a fine shinobi. The man vanished, begin his flowing movement again. Sasuke grimaced some more as he brought his Chikudo in front of him. Darn, I can't attack him while he's moving like this, so I'll have to wait for him to attack. But he moves faster than me, so for me to have a chance, I'll have to predict his attack. Concentrate, focus, look for a change in his stance. Sasuke's eyes widened, and he pulled his sword back. Hiya, this was it. If he miscalculated, the shinobi would use that technique again, and his last-ditch defense would only work once. He had to succeed here, or he would die. Sasuke swung his sword with all his might. Suetun, Mizurappa, Water Style, Raging Waves. Water gushed out of Nagato's mouth and slammed into his opponent, only to pass through harmlessly as his opponent shimmered and then vanished. Darn, another illusion. He's quite good at replacing himself with them. Nagato leapt to the slide, avoiding a kunai, only to bring his arms up to shield himself as an exploding tag launched him into the air once again. I didn't think it would be so easy to fight you, Erasure no Nagato. Those strange eyes must not be a dojutsu if I can avoid you this easily. Perhaps we will take you back as well. Rumor has it you have some incredible Kekiai Genkai. Nagato quickly performed some hand signs and formed a tunnel with his fist in front of his mouth. Gaton, Gaki no Jutsu. Nagato launched a fireball in the direction of the voice, but immediately saw no chakra but his own in the flames. He must be using a Jin Jutsu to change the location of his voice. You've sure been using an impressive array of jutsu. You can't possibly keep this up for much longer. Nagato tossed some kunai with exploding tags so that they floated in the air around him, then slapped his palms together. Or maybe I can. Futon, Rapusho, Wind Style, Gale Palm. A massive gust of wind shot out in all directions from Nagato as his palms slapped together, launching out the kunai and creating a ring of explosions around Nagato. However, the smoke obscured Nagato's vision, allowing the ninja to rush into the blind spot behind him. Nagato looked from side to side, but not behind, seemingly unaware of the shinobi silently speeding towards him from behind. Tonto aimed at his neck. I've got you now. At our current distance, if you haven't seen this coming, yet there's no way for you to react in time. Doton, Dorihiki, Earth Style, Mud Wall. The shinobi's Tonto embedded itself into the wall that Nagato had seemingly put up behind him, all without turning around once. The shinobi let go of his weapon and leapt back. Impossible. There is no way he could have seen me. I've been his blind spot the whole time. For pillars of rock suddenly exploded out of the ground with the shinobi in the middle of them. He had only a moment to glance around as lightning shot through the pillars and into the shinobi, his body convulsing from the electrocution. Right on, Shinshu Shirbari, lighting style, for pillar trap. The shinobi weakly looked up with the last of his strength, only to see a clone of Nagato sitting on the roof, observing the fight from the very beginning. The clone, earth wall, and earth pillars dispelled. Nagato finally turned around and walked over to the ninja. I said I'd show you true pain, but I'm short on time. Punishing you shall be the duty of a god, for I have no more to spare on you. Nagato threw a kunai into the man's skull, killing him instantly. Nagato immediately launched himself into the air, flying towards the other side of town. I hope I'm not too late. Nagato didn't notice a civilian draped in a cloak walk up to the fallen shinobi and check his vital signs. Dead, as we expected. Quite impressive. Not only did he use a jutsu of every elemental nature, his reactions were as if he could see everything his clone could. He truly could be a new Sannin. The civilian picked up the dead body and walked away into a dark alley. Hyo would have smiled under his mask if he had emotions. The mission went far better than he ever would have expected. Separating the Jonin from his team had been too easy. Then the Jinin went and separated themselves as well. Together they may have had a chance. Two Kekiai Genkai users and a Jinchuriki are nothing to sneeze at after all. But now, he was going to defeat one of the legendary Uchihas without even using ninja techniques. Hyo flipped his tanto and held a backhand. He would tone the power this time. The strength difference between him and his target was enough to warrant a capture. Hyo appeared behind the Uchiha and started to spin. Clang! Hyo's eyes widened in surprise as he used his tanto to block an attack from the Uchiha. There was no way a mere genin had seen through the technique. Hyo would have felt fear if he could have as he looked into the Uchiha's eyes and saw two red eyes, one with two tomo surrounding the pupil, the other with one. Sharingan? Crap. Not good. I got you now. Your technique is great when you're defending, but easy to see through when you move to attack. Now my turn. Sasuke closed his eyes and formed a rat hand sign, holding his sword with the bottom hand. Right on. King Gekiha lightning style, emotion wave. Electricity shot from Sasuke's hands and sped up his sword and down Hyo's tanto. Hyo tried to jump back, but the lightning already reached his body, sending him into convulsions. Darn, I can't move while the electricity is coursing through my body. Hyo glanced over to see Sasuke charge at him, sword held back for another strike. Hyo tried desperately to move his tanto to block, but his body refused to respond to his command. His last sight was that of the Sharingan, burning with rage. And then there was darkness. Sasuke slumped to the ground as his attacker's headless body fell over. That had been the toughest fight he had been in, and he was lucky to have survived. Sasuke wondered curiously, why had the man stopped? Towards the end, he had slowed down his movements, such that Sasuke could not only see, but memorize each one. Sasuke was unaware of the red Sharingan in his eyes, and he turned to see Nagato on a roof, making a clone which jumped down to help him as he moved on. Sasuke, are you okay? Sasuke smirked. You're late, Nagato-sensei. And he let himself go, embracing darkness. Naruto sat down, sweat dripping from exhaustion. His opponent was right. There was no way out. He was going to die here, nothing he could do about it. Naruto accepted his fate, about to drop his head on the ground and rest, when a vision came to him. He saw Hinata lying on the ground in a pool of blood. Hinata of Sasuke defeating him in a spar. Sasuke of B and Yujito, training him on how to use chakra and control his massive reserves. Octo-san Yugi Wanse of Nagato, teaching him a new jutsu. Nagato-sensei. And of all the people of Cloud who had talked with and laughed with and supported and appreciated him. That's right. Everyone is counting on me. I can't die now. I won't die now. Naruto stood up, formed a ram sign, and shouted as he gathered as much chakra as he could. Then, something strange happened. Right when he thought he expended the last of his chakra, new chakra exploded out of him, flooding the room with powerful red energy. He didn't even notice his whiskers growing more pronounced, his fingernails sharpening into claws, and his teeth sharpening into fangs. The ninja outside would have smiled if he had emotions. The Hyuga girl fell easily. Now he had the boy trapped. Wasn't this boy supposed to be a Jinchuriki? He never thought it would be this easy. Then he frowned. Something was wrong. He was getting far more chakra now. So much chakra. In fact, he was having trouble keeping the wall from imploding from the sheer volume of it. And this chakra, it feels almost evil. The man had no time to react as a fist exploded out of the wall and smashed his face. Naruto stood, breathing heavily as the dome crumbled around him. Red chakra continued to pour out of him and spiral around him. He looked up to see the enemy ninja stand back up, mask cracking. Darn, that was a powerful strike. If the wall hadn't been there, I might have died. I guess I should have known this wouldn't be that easy. Naruto clenched his teeth as he once again saw Hinata on the ground, unmoved from before. You killed one of my friends. I'll kill you for that. The man frowned. His appearance and voice have changed. And then there's that chakra. I don't know what's happening, but at least I have chakra to spare now. The man performed some hand signs, and the ground beneath Naruto transformed into mud, throwing him off balance. The man did some more hand signs, and the mud formed into a dragon head, which launched several balls of concentrated mud at Naruto at point-blank range. Doton, Doryutega, Earth Style, Earth Flow River, Doton, Doryuden, Earth Style, Earth Dragon Bullet. The man raised his arms to protect his face as an explosion of chakra blasted away the mud. He looked up to see Naruto right in front of him. He's fast. Naruto slammed into his face, sending him flying. The man struggled to get to his feet, only for Naruto to appear behind him, cleaver in hand. No one hurts my friends and gets away with it. D. Naruto slashed with his cleaver, slicing through the man's back. The blow cut through the man's spine and several organs, killing him instantly. Nagato landed on the battlefield and ran to Hinata, making a clone which ran over to Naruto as the red chakra vanished and Naruto reverted back to normal. Naruto, are you okay? Naruto's eyes were only half open as he fell into Nagato's arms. It's over, Nagato-sensei. The local hospital.